Breaking now, on the brink of war. The US and Israel launch a joint strike on Iran, the Middle East on a knife's edge. Our global team coverage live as the world reacts.
Trump's call for regime change.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
The US president's major combat operation.
Australia reacts, the PM supporting the United States. Travel chaos from coast to coast. Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke joins us live.
And back home, Adelaide's big wet, life-threatening flash flooding to batter the state. A monster downpour expected today.
Farewelling one of the greats, Melbourne Cup legend Makybe Diva dies, a once-in-a-generation icon.
Plus, Sydney's Mardi Gras parade, all the pride and politics from the city's biggest party.
And the stars have arrived. Red carpet glamour live from the Brit Awards on Weekend Sunrise this Sunday, the 1st of March 2026.
Across Australia, this is Weekend Sunrise with Monique and Tobin on 7 and 7+.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. We begin with major breaking news this morning. The US and Israel have launched a powerful assault on Iran. Combat operations are underway to topple the country's regime, with the American president encouraging Iranians to rise up.
Now, Tehran's response has been swift. Explosions ringing out in cities right across the Middle East. Let's bring in our team now. First to Chief Reporter Chris Reason, who is in Tel Aviv. Now, Chris, we're being told that Israeli leaders are saying that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is Iran's supreme leader, has been killed. What are you hearing?
We're only getting this report now in the last 10 minutes, Mon. That is correct. It's coming from the Reuters news agency, a respected news source. And yes, it is reporting that 86-year-old Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is dead, found in rubble. Now, we saw pictures earlier of his personal home in Tehran being flattened by bombs, but we're told that he wasn't actually at that residence. He'd been moved out weeks ago to a secret hideaway location. But it seems that the Israeli-American operation on the ground here, Epic Fury, has managed to track him down and take him out. We're waiting on official on-record comment for that, but that will be extraordinary. Donald Trump said earlier today he was looking for regime change. Well, he's certainly forced it now, if that is the case. The Supreme Leader, as you say, apparently reported dead. Now, this operation is running into its 12th hour as we go to air this morning, Mon, and we've seen hundreds and hundreds of military sorties across Tehran and Iran, taking out nuclear facilities, military installations, the judicial installations, the parliament, and, as I say, Ayatollah Khamenei's home as well. Also, we knew that Iran was going to fight back. It has been firing rockets and missiles, not just at Israel, traditional location and target for its retribution, but across the Middle East. 6 countries so far, far broader than we'd ever predicted. The entire region now plunged into chaos. That has caused all sorts of aviation chaos for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, with some of the region's biggest airports, including Dubai, the world's biggest, having to be closed down today. We still have no idea when this is going to end, but one of the key targets was Khamenei, and now we wait to see what America will do next.
Yep, some major breaking news out of Tehran this morning. Let's go to Rob Scott in Washington, D.C. now. And Rob, this is a bold move by the US, and it could have serious implications for the future of the Middle East.
Yeah, that's right, David. A bold move delivered in typical Trumpian style. The US president recording an 8-minute message to the nation, not from the White House or from the Situation Room, but from his private club, Mar-a-Lago in Florida, dressed in a white cap. An 8-minute speech that was released on social media at 2:30 this morning, local time, when most Americans were asleep. The president explaining why he flicked the switch to greenlight what is going to be the biggest US military operation in the Middle East since the Iraq War more than 20 years ago. As Chris said, a codenamed Operation Epic Fury. He has 3 main goals, he says. The first is to obliterate Iran's nuclear weapons program, to stop it from getting a nuclear weapon, to crush its military, and third and most difficult, as Chris mentioned, is to try to topple the Iranian regime. The big question now is, why is he doing this now? And in that speech, Donald Trump ran through what he says is 50 years of anti-Western, anti-American rhetoric and attacks perpetrated by the Iranian regime and its proxies towards the US and towards its allies. He also says he tried to make a deal with the Iranian regime to try to get them to agree to stop the enrichment of uranium, to stop them from having a nuclear weapon. They did not agree, and so he decided to flick the switch on this operation, and he has urged the Iranian military and its police officers to lay down their weapons, or he says they will be killed.
Lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
Experts say this is unlikely to be a one-and-done style operation like we saw in June when the US bombed Iran's nuclear facilities. This is likely to drag on for a few days, if not a few weeks.
All right, let's go to political editor Mark Riley now, who's in Canberra. Now, Mark, we have had a response from our government here to this.
Yeah, Mon, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has called an emergency meeting of the National Security Committee of Cabinet at 8:30, about an hour and a half from now, to get an update on military intelligence information communicated by the US about these strikes and to discuss Australia's response. In a statement last night, Mr Albanese said Australia supports the United States in acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and continuing to threaten international peace and security. The Department of Foreign Affairs has warned Australians living or travelling in the region of Iranian reprisal strikes, which we're seeing in the Arab Emirates and elsewhere, recommending they seek protection and that people considering travelling there don't, with those mass now flight cancellations. Australia, of course, expelled Iran's ambassador last year over the Revolutionary Guard's involvement in at least 2 anti-Semitic attacks here, and our embassy in Tehran has been effectively shut down. The government admits its ability to provide consular services within Iran to Australians there, and there are many thousands of Australians in Iran, is now severely limited. In that statement last night, Anthony Albanese says Australia stands with the Iranian people in their struggle against oppression. We're expecting him to update the nation on developments sometime today. He says Australian officials are closely monitoring this evolving situation. We continue to advise Australians not to travel to Iran and leave as soon as possible if it's safe to do so. Now, we're expecting, I've just got a note that the Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, will be making a statement closer to 10 o'clock this morning in Adelaide, and we'll hear what support, if any, Australia will provide to the operations after that National Security Committee meeting later this morning here in Canberra, guys.
Yeah, we'll be speaking to the Home Affairs Minister, Tony Burke. That's coming up in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Really interesting thinking now about what happens in Iran. There isn't a clear opposition. That is, if these reports are true, that the Supreme Leader has been killed. Team of reporters that are all out there on the ground. We will catch up with you right throughout the morning.
All right, let's get some more news now. Here's Sally.
Good morning. To a sunrise weather alert this morning, streets have turned into rivers in Adelaide as a tropical storm unleashed across the city overnight. Let's go live to our reporter Hayden Nelson this morning. Hayden, residents really had to hunker down.
Yeah, they certainly have, Sally. That warning, severe weather warning for intense rainfall and deadly flash flooding remains in place this morning, which has seen residents across the state, more than 1 million people, have to batten down the hatches with a warning of a storm which hasn't been seen here for a decade. A tropical low system, really unheard of here in Adelaide, has seen the SES respond to about 423 calls for assistance over the past few days, and the prediction is today is when it'll hit the hardest. This has been lingering for about a week now. There is up at least 40 mils of rain, up to 100 mils of rain predicted in parts of the state, particularly here in Adelaide, as well as the southeast and Riverland areas. So certainly concerning for the SES. They say 3 of those rescues have been swiftwater flood rescues. So that threat of flash flooding remains very real and very concerning for authorities here in Adelaide this morning. Sally.
All right. Thank you, Hayden, for the update. Australian sport is mourning the loss of the great Makybe Diva, the only racehorse to ever win 3 Melbourne Cups. Glenn Boss was on her back for all 3 victories. The star mare passed away yesterday a month shy of her 28th birthday after a brief battle with colic. Well, Sydney-siders have toasted love and equality in the Harbour City's most colourful party of the year. More than 150 floats took part in the Mardi Gras last night, alongside up to 10,000 marchers, all dressed to the nines in sequins and plenty of glitter. Police have praised the behaviour of crowds. That's the latest news, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Sal. Ahead for you on Weekend Sunrise. Sin City Stunner, the NRL season, kicks off later today. We will have all the build-up live from Las Vegas.
Plus, in the AFL, Fremantle head into the new season on a high after taking down the Crows.
And JT has your weather forecast live this morning at the Sydney Sail Grand Prix. Welcome back to Weekend Sunrise. Let's get some sport now. Here's David.
Thanks, Mon. Well, we are just hours away from the NRL's third instalment of the Las Vegas season opener with a blockbuster doubleheader kicking off this afternoon. Let's go live to 7 News sports reporter Jaleesa Rapps. She's in Sin City. Good morning to you. Hey, the action gets underway very soon at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, just a few hours to go, and the NRL fans and the Super League fans have well and truly taken over the strip. I'm at a pub here called Old Red, which is transformed into the Dragons hub. There's dragons everywhere. There's footy on the TVs. There's nothing quite like it. I don't know if the Dragons will be too thrilled at what their coach Shane Flanagan said, though. He said they can't win the premiership, but he did, and he doubled down on it, but he did say he's just trying to set some realistic expectations.
I'd love to say that we're, good enough to, with the big dogs to go at it this year. We'll win a lot of footy games this year, but I'm just realistic that, don't set stupid expectations.
The Dogs fans, they'll be happy to hear that. The Dogs were out on a team walk this morning. Of course, the team's making their way to Allegiant Stadium any minute for those preparations in a few hours' time.
Oh, Jaleesa, looks like fun there, mate. We'll let you get to it. Let's go check the weather now with JT. He's in Sydney at Sail Grand Prix.
Yeah, we've got some incredible access for you with SailGP. If you were in Sydney, you would have seen them out on the water yesterday. Have a look at these. They are upwards of $10 million per hydrofoiling catamaran. So they're F50s, and they are the Spanish team who are currently in the lead of today's event. More on that after your forecast.
Weekend Sunrise weather brought to you by Viking. No kids and no casinos. Call 138 747 or visit viking.com today.
So plenty of weather around at the moment. In Brisbane, we've got possible showers and 29 degrees. Showers clearing in Sydney, 27. Mostly cloudy in Canberra, 25. Melbourne, possible showers and 26. Hobart, mostly cloudy and 27. Showers for Adelaide and 27. Perth, sunny and 26. Mostly sunny for Broome and 33. In Darwin, possible thunderstorms and 29. And Alice Springs is looking likely to see showers and 32. We're hoping for a little bit more wind in Sydney this afternoon. It was pretty slow racing yesterday, which made it very technical. 4 races, the Aussies won 2 of them, placed not so well in the other 2, which means they're in second place at the moment. This is the Aussie team, the Bonds Flying Roos. We're going to be talking to some of them a little bit later this morning. But if you are in Sydney town, you get the chance, find a spot near the water's edge and have a look. These things are incredible. The speeds, the closeness with which they race, it is the most exciting thing you'll see on water, and we've got your inside access today.
Wow, they are great shots too. Thank you, JT. Stay with us this morning. Ahead for you on Weekend Sunrise. More on our breaking news. The Middle East on the brink of all-out war. Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke joins us live on Sunrise for the very latest on Australia's response.
And the impacts already being felt right around the world, including here at home. Sam Payne has the details. Hey, Sam.
Yeah, good morning. Well, some planes have been turned around overnight. Passengers have even had to sleep here in the terminal. I'll have more details about this ongoing situation in the live report next.
Welcome back. Returning to our breaking news this morning, and the Middle East is teetering on the brink of all-out war as the US and Israel trade escalating attacks with Iran. More than 500 targets in Iran have been rocked by US and Israeli forces just hours after nuclear negotiations broke down. Israeli officials have now told Reuters that the body of Iran's supreme leader has been found in the rubble.
Now, US President Donald Trump is calling on Iranians to use this moment to overthrow the regime.
Lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
OK, for more, we're joined by Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke. Morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us. Look, you just heard there that we've had reports that the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead, and the US President calling for regime change. Does the Australian government also call for regime change and for Iranians to overthrow it?
Look, we're unequivocally standing with the people of Iran against what is a brutal, brutal regime. And we are certainly in support as well of the United States making sure that, and taking action to make sure that Iran does not acquire nuclear weapons. We need to remember, with respect to this regime, what they've done to their own people, what they've done destabilising the world, and also what they've done specifically in Australia. We have had attacks on our own soil instigated by Iran.
OK, so, but if we have the regime is toppled, if the leader, the Supreme Leader, is dead, there is no clear opposition there. So who would Australia like to take over?
Look, I won't offer more today than to say we unequivocally stand with the Iranian people. We want the Iranian people to be able to have charge of their government again. In the last few months, we've seen the Iranian people start to rise up, only to be brutally slaughtered by this regime. Thousands of their own citizens killed by this regime. And you know, that's something that obviously cannot have the support of the Australian government or the Australian people in any way, shape or form.
Minister, was the Australian government given a heads up ahead of these strikes, and have we been asked to help further?
So the actions, as have been said by the United States and Israel, the actions have been taken by them. I won't go into what conversations happen back and forth, but those two governments are the ones taking the action, and Australia's role right now is to say to our own citizens, if you are in Iran, now there's been a do not travel to Iran warning in place for a long time.
Minister,
people who are in there. Sorry?
I was going to say, are you concerned that these attacks have now been carried out without either the UN or US congressional approval?
Iran has been in breach of nuclear agreements for a very long time, and it is critically important that Iran does not end up with nuclear weapons. Critically important, and we're supporting the United States taking action to prevent that. It's also the case they have been brutal against their own people, and we had two attacks, including the arson attack on the Adass Israel synagogue in Melbourne, where that attack on our own soil instigated by this regime. That's why, you know, since the Second World War, there's only one government where Australia has had to expel the ambassador. That's Iran.
Yeah.
There's only one government where we've had to change the law to make an agency of government, the IRGC, able to be listed as a terrorist organisation. That's Iran. This is no ordinary country.
Tony, you were just saying then that the Australian government has been urging Australians not to travel to Iran for a while now. Lots of Australians are in the region. Do you have plans? What are the plans to try and help any Australians out of the Middle East?
Look, you've got temporary closures of a number of airports at the moment, but we expect that commercial options will still be available, and people should take them. Overnight, for Australians who are in Lebanon, in Israel or in Qatar, we have upgraded our travel advice to do not travel. That means if you are already there, if it is safe to leave, leave. Get out. Don't delay. As long as there are commercial flights available, you should be getting on them, and that's an upgrade that's happened overnight. And we've got a lot of people in Lebanon and Israel in particular, also some in Qatar, but people should take that travel advice seriously. We don't make these recommendations lightly.
Minister, just very quickly before we do go, has the escalation in violence, has that changed any security or threat levels back here in Australia?
Now, the threat level here was already at probable, and sadly we've been seeing in real time what that means with the most recent attack that was intercepted in WA only in the last few days. So probable remains where it is, but our security, intelligence and law enforcement agencies, in particular ASIO, are always going through this information and making sure in case it needs to be changed.
Well, Tony Burke, we really appreciate your time this morning. A busy few days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this.
Welcome back. In breaking news, Israeli officials say that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has been killed just hours after the US and Israel launched an attack on the country. Explosions are ringing out across parts of the Middle East as America carries out a massive and ongoing operation, urging Iranians to topple the regime. The conflict is threatening to spread as Tehran hits back with retaliatory strikes. This video shows people fleeing for their lives when a missile hit the Qatari capital, Doha.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia supports the US in its mission to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Airlines have cancelled flights right across the region, causing travel chaos. Let's bring in Sam Payne now at Sydney Airport. Good morning to you, Sam. Australian travellers have been caught up in this.
Yeah, good morning, David. Well, that's right. And as you mentioned, a lot of those airspaces are closed over the Middle East and Gulf states. We had 3 instances last night of planes being turned around of Qatar Airways. One went back to Melbourne, one went back to Brisbane, and another one came back to Sydney. Now, it was allowed through the curfew, which is incredibly rare, but there's also instances where flights to Dubai have been cancelled. Now, I've got Khalid here, and a lot of these people, I just want to show you, have been actually stayed the night. They've stayed the night here at the airport. Khalid, talk to me about your situation.
Yeah, we actually came last night from Auckland, via Qantas, but we were flying through Emirates Airlines, to Tunis via Dubai. But unfortunately, because of the situation over there, the flights got cancelled and we could not, unfortunately, get any bookings around.
And so because of Mardi Gras, there's no accommodation right now?
No accommodation at all. We tried probably more than 20 hotels last night. We took even a taxi to Liverpool. Unfortunately, there is nothing.
And what's your plan now?
My plan, we got stuck now here. I'm thinking of going back to New Zealand, or if I can find another alternative route, like maybe via Turkey or something, yeah.
Thank you for your time, Khalid.
Thank you so much.
And that's a situation that we'll be speaking to a lot of these passengers here. A lot have been pulling out even their airbeds or their sleeping bags that they've had from camping trips in Christchurch because they don't know what's going to happen now. A bit of no man's land. 2 people I've spoken to now are thinking about going back to New Zealand because they don't know when this airspace is going to open up again. And obviously we think about those Australian residents who are in those airports overseas, Doha, Dubai, when they can't fly back here as well, guys.
Yeah, still so much uncertainty. You can understand those frustrations. Sam Payne at Sydney Airport, thank you.
And you can join 7 News tonight live at 6 o'clock with the day's major developments. Then at 8:20, there's a special event inside Operation Epic Fury, which will be hosted by our own Michael Usher.
Right now, let's get some more news with Sally.
Good morning. Streets have flooded and homes have been left without power as a tropical storm unleashed on Adelaide overnight. More than 180,000 lightning strikes were recorded across South Australia. Emergency crews responded to hundreds of calls for help. Some areas saw upwards of 120 millimetres of rain just within a matter of hours. While the system is now tracking south, it still could produce further isolated storms and heavy falls today. Australian sport is mourning the loss of the great Makybe Diva, the only racehorse to ever win 3 Melbourne Cups. Live to Phoebe Worthley at Flemington Racecourse this morning. Phoebe, she was a true champ.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Sal. And for that very reason, Makybe Diva has etched herself a name in history as one of the greatest in Australian sport. Now, the star mare remains the only horse ever to have won 3 consecutive cups, but The accolades didn't stop there, securing a Cox Plate, an Australian and Sydney Cup in the span of 3 years, before she was later retired in 2005. Now, Maccabi diva passed away peacefully after a brief battle with colic yesterday morning. She's been remembered as a symbol of national pride by all that knew her. Her owner, Tony Santic, saying, "From the day she came into our lives, she was never just a racehorse, she was family. She gave us joy every single day." Now, her bronze statue will be visited by punters and racing royalty today, forever remembered as one of Flemington's greatest stayers.
All right, thank you very much, Phoebe Worthley, there for us this morning. Tributes are pouring in for Australian actress Lorraine Bailey, who passed away at the age of 89. For more than 6 decades, she captivated audiences on stage and screen with starring roles in Carson's Law and The Sullivans.
Oh, John, that isn't fair.
That's right, Mum. It isn't fair.
Where's he been all this time? It's been over 2 years.
I just can't take
Has he been injured all this time? Has he been in hospital all this time?
I've told you all I can.
Bailey was also the original presenter of Play School. Unregistered dirt bike riders have been caught on video dicing with death on one of Sydney's busiest roads. At least 10 hoons performed stunts, taking up all 3 lanes of traffic on the Bradfield Highway just north of Sydney's Harbour Bridge yesterday afternoon. Police say they are aware of the incident. Queensland's booming tourism industry is under threat, with operators sending big just to keep themselves insured. Let's go live to Georgia Costi on the Gold Coast this morning. Georgia, premiums, they've certainly skyrocketed, haven't they?
Oh, Sally, they absolutely have. In the last year, we had 28 million tourists come here to Queensland. You would think that would mean that business is booming, but in many cases, that is far from the truth. Many of our most popular operators are struggling to keep their doors open because of rising insurance premiums. In some cases, they have jumped by a whopping 525% in the last 5 years. This means that some companies are trying to get insured by overseas companies or simply not having insurance, which means they can't even open their doors. Now, because of these rising premiums, 150 businesses have written to the Queensland Tourism Industry Council really asking for some help. That group is going to approach the federal government in October, Sally, and hopefully come up with a solution, because we cannot afford to lose one of our biggest industries here in Queensland.
No, indeed. All right, thanks for that, Georgia. Well, it's all glitz and glam in the UK this morning as the stars hit the red carpet for the Brit Awards. Let's go live to Jacqueline Robson in London today. Jackie, there's a huge lineup of artists running this year.
Yeah, there is, Sally, and plenty of them will be performing too, the likes of Olivia Dean and Ray. Harry Styles will also perform at the Brit Awards for the first time in 3 years. So Olivia Dean, she arrived with a very simple, strapless number, quite an eclectic mix of fashion. She is one of the top artists nominated, 5 nods for her. So too Lola Young, both having 5 award nominations. They'll go up against Lily Allen for Artist of the Year. And Ed Sheeran, he'll be up against the song Defying Gravity by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande for the Song of the Year. And we've seen Kelly and Sharon Osbourne arm in arm on the red carpet. Robbie Williams is set to pay tribute to the late rocker Ozzy Osbourne, who died in July. It is a big morning of entertainment here in the UK. Sally?
It certainly is. All right, thanks for that, Jackie. Let's go to David now. He's got your sports talk.
Thanks, Sal. Well, we are set for a huge day of sporting action, and joining me to discuss it all is league legend Brett Kimmorley and Sunrise correspondent Andrew McCormick, both apparently unable to hook into a Vegas junket, so they're here with me. I'm sorry about that, fellas. Noddy to you first. Yeah, huge day in Vegas today.
A huge day, yeah. Obviously kicks off our competition. We've done it for a few years, so I think that the atmosphere for this game today, or these 2 games today, 3 games counting the English Super League, they've got some of the biggest fan groups in the competition going, and obviously Canterbury are top of the ladder with huge fans last year. The club's growing. I'm curious to see how the Knights and Cowboys go. Obviously Newcastle Knights, new head coach in Justin Holbrooks, obviously has been a head coach before, and the Dylan Brown, the $13 million man, obviously looking forward to see how he goes as a halfback, not a 5'8" now, so that's one to watch. And obviously Matty Burton. Does he get caught by the NFL now? Does he become a kicker over there?
Could there be a code switch here?
Well, we've seen a lot of the AFL players go over there and try, and we've had some successful AFL players who've gone over and become punters for Super Bowl and for the gridiron over there. But Matty Burton, he would be the biggest kicker of the football our competition has. And yes, he nearly hit the roof yesterday. Cameron Serraldo was like, he's got a hamstring issue, don't try it. And then all of a sudden, Burton in the background's going, I'm a little kid, I'm going to try and hit the roof.
He nearly did it as well. Talk to us about those crowds there, though. I mean, it's really showing that this franchise expansion over there, it's proving to be a bit of a success in its third year. Oh, it's a great festival, as you said, junkets that we're not allowed to be a part of. But Dragons, obviously, Dogs, two big Sydney clubs, and obviously then you've got the Newcastle Knights and the Cowboys. If you talk about fans and you talk about success of Vegas, we're talking about now global round potentially coming over the next few years as well, trying to expand the success of Vegas into everywhere else. So let's see how the game keeps growing. Yeah, we keep talking global domination. Hey, Macca, to the AFL now, and both Fremantle and St Kilda impressing in their final pre-season hit-out.
Yeah, last year's rising star, Murphy Reid, 30 disposals. Of course, he spent most of last year as a forward in his first year in footy in AFL. But, he's just a natural footballer. It doesn't matter if he's in front of goal or around the midfield. He can find the footy. So, certainly someone that is going to really, really elevate his game in this season. Now, to tell you someone else who can find the footy, Nazai Wanganeen-Millera, resting up forward when he's not in the midfield. 4 goals, almost 30 disposals yesterday for the Saints. He's their $2 million man. He might just be renegotiating. Believe it or not, he's the highest paid player in footy. He might just be going, it might be worth a little bit more than $2 million, can you believe it, if he continues the form he showed yesterday. It was ominous. Cal Wilkie, though, Saints captain, he might be sidelined. Just 7 days he's got to get over a caught calf now until they play the Pies in round 0. And the Bombers might be without Sammy Durham as well, because the match review might rub him out for a dangerous tackle. So ones to watch over the next few days for sure.
Yep, absolutely, Mac. I want to stick with you on this one. The racing world is in mourning today over the death of the great Makybe Diva. I mean, what an incredible legacy the champion mare leaves behind.
As Bruce McAvaney said, the greatest moment in Australian racing in 2005 when she crossed the line. A champion becomes a legend. Greg Miles, that famous line now etched in Australian sporting folklore. And I've been lucky enough to hear Glenn Boss, the jockey for all 3 of those Melbourne Cups, go through and break them down at a number of functions over the years. And he tells this incredible story about when she won the Cox Plate in 2005 and whether or not she would back up to try and win a 3rd consecutive Melbourne Cup. And they had essentially a fitness test for her on a big gallop down in Fingal, Mornington Peninsula Way, with the Freedmans trained her. And just when she got to the top of the hill after her first bit of work, he was on her back, everything was going okay, and all wondering whether or not she would retire or win a 3rd Melbourne Cup, and she just breathed and exhaled out, and her heart rate just dropped, and she could blow out and she wouldn't blow out a candle, and it was absolutely unbelievable. And Bossy knew there's no way anyone is going to beat Makybe for a 3rd straight Melbourne Cup. That was the moment he knew.
She's an absolute superstar, Macca, and she really has been mythologised. She's part of the Australian psyche at this point, and we will be speaking to Glenn Boss later this morning. Hey fellas, finally, before you go, arguably the greatest footy player of all time, Lionel Messi, he was hauled to the ground by a pitch invader in Puerto Rico. Okay, have a look at these pictures here. It was all very soccer, all very polite. The man, he had his shirt off there. You can see Messi, he just walks away after it. But it reminded us of this, very different to the Aussie way of dealing with streakers. Have a look at this. This was Andrew Simons back in the day. We've got the nudie guy. We've had to get out the blurring pin there. And how is that? He's just put him to the ground. I mean, Noddy, what would you do, mate? Have you ever had to deal with anything like that?
No, never had to deal with anything like that. I don't know if I'd be like Andrew Simons. Obviously, pretty physical, intimidating guy. I'd be a bit like Messi and just go, hey, don't touch me.
Just let it go?
Yeah, just...
Macca, I mean, that's some legendary footage right there, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, you've got to be careful when you bump, because anytime you hit the head, you're going to get weaks. And I think Andrew Simons did it beautifully there, shoulder to shoulder. I'm not sure about the shoulder charge in the NRL, but perfect for an AFL perspective. But Messi's got his own bodyguard. I think usually that comes out.
Yeah, he normally runs out and helps him.
It's the price of a selfie these days. People go to airlines.
Yeah, all right, fellas. Well, thanks for your time this morning. We'll check in with you again next week. Right now, though, let's get a check-in weather with JT in Sydney at Sail Grand Prix. Hey, mate.
All right, data nerds, this cross is for you. We're at SailGP. Let's go inside. This is the Performance Engineering Hub. SailGP, it is the absolute cutting edge of technology, data, sporting achievement. This is David Ray. He is a data analyst, and we're going to learn all about what this control centre does after your forecast.
Weekend sunrise weather brought to you by Viking. No kids and no casinos. Call 138 747 or visit viking.com today.
In Brisbane, possible showers and 29. Sydney, cloud clearing and 27. Showers clearing as well. Mostly cloudy in Canberra and 25. Melbourne, possible showers and 26. Hobart, mostly cloudy and 27. Showers from Adelaide and 27. Perth, sunny and 26. A sunny day for Broome and 33. Darwin, possible thunderstorms and 29. And showers for Alice Springs and 32. SailGP, such an international sport. So you are from New Caledonia, you live in Spain, and now you travel the world with SailGP as a data analyst.
Yes.
This all means very little to me. Can you explain this in layman's terms?
Right. So we compile every day a bit of stats from the racing yesterday, or after every day of racing. There's one of the crucial parts is getting off the start. So there's a countdown, and when the clock hits 0, you want to be as close as you want to the start line. On this graph, we kind of represent all the different races, and this is how far they were or close they were to the line. And you can see in race 3 there was quite a dramatic moment with 3 people over the line just there.
Okay, then they get penalised.
Yeah,
so this
is have to drop down.
Right, and then it means you have to try and overtake, and this is showing how many teams.
So then these are the number of overtakes during the day. So obviously the more overtakes you get, the better you move up the ladder line. So Australia did an amazing day yesterday, and Sweden with also an Australian driver there. So looked like a good day to be Australian.
Just quickly, 13km/h winds, and the boats were doing up to 70 km/h. They are flying.
Yeah, so this is a graph that shows you the importance of actually flying. These boats, after a certain speed, so once you're like going over 20, under 20 you're just floating, your normal boat, and you have a takeoff between 20 and 40. This is like our takeoff zone, as once you're flying at around 1.2 meters.
It is a spectacular sport, isn't it? Well,
very, very fast.
More racing today, and we've got it coming up here in half an hour here on Weekend Sunrise.
Oh, love it, JT. Thank you.
David.
Thank you.
Soon for you this morning, under attack, we're taking you live to Israel, speaking with an Australian family who are caught up in the chaos. That's next.
Also, back home, a closer look at Australia's most infamous killers. The next chapter of Seven's Kiss and Kill podcast takes on a gripping new case.
And here's a live look right now at Melbourne as we head to the break. 26 degrees for you today. More of Weekend Sunrise after this. Thanks for your company on this Sunday morning. Returning to our breaking news, escalating attacks between the US, Israel and Iran has put the Middle East this morning on the brink of all-out war.
Let's go to Australian resident living in Israel, Emily Gian. Good morning to you, Emily. You're in the family bunker right now. You're there with your 3 kids, all aged under 13. Explain to us, what's the situation like right now?
So at the moment, we just had an alert about 20 minutes ago to tell us to get into the bomb shelter. So currently we have my own family of 5, my brother-in-law and his family of 5, and also my mother-in-law. So there are 11 of us in a very small room. And we basically are supposed to stay here until we get another alert on our phone telling us we can get out. So we kind of get, I can't really see, but we get alerts that tell us when we can go, when to come in and when we can come out.
That alert might be, we've just had word in, we've got vision in, there has been another attack and a missile that has hit Tel Aviv. Perhaps if we can talk about how you're going mentally, Emily, because it feels like we've been on the brink of this for weeks, but when it happens, I imagine it still comes as a shock.
It really does. We've been, we sort of know that something might happen over the next few weeks, as you said, but there's really no way to prepare every day. Is it going to be tonight? Are we going to be working in the middle of the night? And I was getting ready in the bathroom this morning, and all of a sudden the siren, the alert came on my phone so loud, and you jump out of your skin no matter how prepared you are. And then throughout the day, the same thing. Even though we know it's coming and it's been every 20 minutes or so, every time it goes off, you still get a bit of a fright. And then there's, the added thing of obviously having kids and, you know, having to be the responsible adult in the room and having to keep them calm and make sure that they're relaxed about everything. And, you know, we're sort of here and we're all smiling as if it's fun because we don't want the kids to feel like it's something stressful.
Emily, for Australians here watching this right now, can you give us a bit of a sense of what it's like inside that bunker? Are you able to just twist the camera around there? Because you're with, 11 other people. You've mentioned your family there. What is actually the feeling inside a bunker like that?
So,
hi guys.
That's sort of, there's more around the other side. There's some really little ones as well. And I actually, my brother-in-law and his family are here because they don't have a bunker in their place. And with small children, it was very hard to take the kids with them throughout the day and have to run across the road or downstairs, so they're with us. So it's actually, for our kids and for their kids, it's actually more fun for them to feel like they're around, you know, sort of keeping that light atmosphere.
And how are you passing the
slumber
time every time that you go in there?
Just devices, reading, TV, Netflix, whatever. So got through all of the Netflix so far.
And I suppose there's a sense of anxiety as well, because when you step out, you don't know what you're going to be confronted with. We know how good the Iron Dome actually is, but we've just seen some images there that have just come through. In the past few moments, at least one of those missiles has made it through.
Yeah, and that's obviously incredibly frightening. In the last war, nothing fell specifically in our town, but in all towns close to us. And when there's a direct hit, it doesn't just affect, you know, the house directly. We had people we knew in buildings around that didn't go back to their houses for months because of the hit that their buildings took. So it's always, it could happen anywhere. Then, you know, you don't know. We're not dealing with, you know, a rational organisation here.
Emily, I know when we spoke to you last year, you said you had no plans to come back to Australia. How are you feeling about that now?
I think the same thing as last year. We'll probably just ride it out. We're living here for now, and, you know, it sounds crazy to say it, but we feel safe here. And having seen what has been going on all around the world in the past few years, and all of the anti-Semitism and the fact that the Islamic regime in Iran targeting, at the moment they've targeted other, you know, Arab countries, but I'm sure that any Jewish community anywhere in the world is a target right now. And we've seen in Australia the attacks carried out on behalf of the Islamic Republic and all of that over the past 2 years. So
yep, and I know
I
you've
feel
said
safe that we've got bunkers.
Yep, and you've said that it's home. It's home for you. Emily, let's keep in touch. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
All right, coming up in the next hour, more on that breaking news. Tel Aviv has been hit in the past few minutes. Chris Reason is there. Hey, Rezo.
Operation Epic Fury. It has been moving at breakneck speed. An extraordinary day, guys, with historic implications.
Also, more on Australia's response as the world reacts to the escalation. Don't go anywhere. We have more special coverage. That's next.
Breaking now on the brink of war, Tel Aviv hit just moments ago. The Middle East on a knife's edge as the US and Israel launch a joint strike on Iran. Our global team coverage live as the world reacts.
Trump's call for regime change.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
The US president's major combat operation.
Australia reacts. The PM supporting the United States. Travel chaos from coast to coast.
Back home, Adelaide's big wet, life-threatening flash flooding to batter the state. A monster downpour expected today.
Farewelling one of the greats. Melbourne Cup legend Makybe Diva dies, a once-in-a-generation icon.
Plus, Sydney's Mardi Gras parade, all the pride and politics from the city's biggest party.
And the stars have arrived. Red carpet glamour live from the Brit Awards on Weekend Sunrise this Sunday, the 1st of March, 2026.
Across Australia, this is Weekend Sunrise with Monique and David on 7 and 7 Plus.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. We begin with major breaking news this morning. Israeli officials say the supreme leader of Iran has been killed hours after the US and Israel joined forces in a joint attack to topple the country's regime.
Now, Tehran has responded, launching airstrikes on multiple cities. Let's bring in our team first to Chief Reporter Chris Reason, who's in Tel Aviv. Now, Reza, we just saw some vision in the last couple of minutes. The city there has been hit.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. Correct, Mon. In the last 15 minutes, a massive missile managed to break through Israel's defensive systems here in the capital, Tel Aviv, exploding on the horizon behind us. We don't know what the scene is there on the ground. It's not usual, not normal to see a missile break through the Iron Dome system, but all day we have seen the Iranians pummeling Israel, particularly northern Israel, with their ballistic missiles, and the air defense systems aren't 100% perfect. Sometimes they do get through. That extraordinary shot there from our cameraman, Jimmy Cannon. Now, we're entering the 13th hour of conflict here of Operation Epic Fury, this combined operation between the Israelis and the Americans. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, just held a press conference saying that they've so far hit 500 targets across Iran. We're talking military, nuclear, the courts, the parliament, and also significantly the personal home and compound of the supreme leader himself, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Now, on that, reports from respected news organisations, first of all Reuters, next NBC, saying that Khamenei, 86-year-old supreme leader, Shia cleric, leader of Iran, has been killed in one of these surgical airstrikes by the Allied operators on this. There's even talk, one of the Israeli TV stations saying that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has seen video of his body. Now, this is an extraordinary development and has massive implications for millions of people in this region. They will be rejoicing and celebrating. This guy was a dictator, a ruthless tyrant who has overseen thousands of deaths, as we've seen in the protests at the beginning of this year. But it will also cause extreme fury and anger on hardline radicals, especially within Iran. Stand by for terrorism response to what has happened in these last couple of hours. Now, on top of all of that, Iran had promised to hit back. It has hit back, and hard. We've seen not just normal military bases as targets, but civilian targets as well. And not just in the normal places like here in Iran, but across the Middle East. 6 countries so far hit by their missiles. I'll list them off: Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, the UAE, Bahrain, and, as I say, here in Israel as well. Those attacks are continuing. Iran seems to be throwing absolutely everything at this, and it's throwing it in every single direction. It is the desperate last throes of this regime as we talk about decapitation strikes. And as I say, tonight we have almost confirmation that the Ayatollah has been assassinated.
Huge breaking news there, Chris Reason, with the potential there to reshape that region. We'll come back to you shortly. Now, though, to Rob Scott in Washington, D.C. Rob, what has the White House had to say?
Well, David, Donald Trump himself was the one who actually informed the American people that he had authorised these strikes. He recorded a brief statement from his private club in Mar-a-Lago, releasing it on social media really early this morning when most Americans were asleep, outlining the broad goals of what is undoubtedly his biggest foreign policy gamble to date. Actually, these pictures you can see on your screen right now are the first pictures released by the White House not that long ago, showing him in Mar-a-Lago monitoring these strikes which he authorised. He said he had 3 main goals when he flicked the switch on this. He wanted to stop Iran from ever getting a nuclear weapon, to crush its military, and to bring about regime change. And unlike that one and done campaign that we saw last June when the US bombed Iran's nuclear facilities, experts say that this is likely to be a much longer, more protracted campaign, the biggest US military campaign since the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. And right now, you can probably hear the commotion behind me. There have been big protests through the streets of Washington, D.C. today. Many Americans upset that Donald Trump has sent American troops into harm's way, particularly after he campaigned on ending these forever wars. But the president is adamant that Tehran posed an imminent risk, and he had to act.
Lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
So Donald Trump continues to monitor the unfolding events in the Middle East from his club, Mar-a-Lago in Florida. He has also admitted that it is very likely US troops could die in this conflict. Guys.
Yes, he made a point of that, didn't he, Rob? OK, let's go to political editor Mark Riley, who is in Canberra now. Riles, we understand that the US has Australia's backing.
It does, Mon. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia does support the US operations to ensure Iran doesn't get its hands on nuclear weapons and to support the Iranian people in their struggle against oppression. The Prime Minister has called an emergency meeting of the National Security Committee of Cabinet to begin here in the next half an hour. That meeting will get an update on the operations and the latest intelligence about the claimed death of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as Rizzo just reported, and his senior government executive team. Here's Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke speaking on Weekend Sunrise to us a little earlier on.
We want the Iranian people to be able to have charge of their government again. In the last few months, we've seen the Iranian people start to rise up, only to be brutally slaughtered by this regime. Thousands of their own citizens killed by this regime.
Now, the government's warning Australians in the region to leave if they can, and for those planning on going there to delay those plans for the time being. If you can get out, Tony Burke says get out. Australia expelled Iran's ambassador from here in Canberra last year over the Revolutionary Guard's involvement in at least 2 anti-Semitic attacks in Australia, and the government admits that with our embassy now in Tehran closed, it has limited ability to provide consular services to Australians within Iran. Tony Burke told Weekend Sunrise the threat level here in Australia remains at probable, which is high, but that ASIO is constantly assessing that setting. He wasn't prepared, though, to disclose the level of notice that Australia was given by the US or Israel before this operation began, or interestingly, whether Australia supports regime change as an objective in Iran. We also don't know whether there's been any request or any requests expected for Australian involvement. There should be some more clarity on all those issues when Foreign Minister Penny Wong addresses the media in Adelaide in the next hour or so, and that emergency National Security Committee meeting of Cabinet concludes later this morning, guys.
Yeah, thank you to our team of reporters, and we'll bring you details of Penny Wong's address later this morning.
All right now, though, let's get some more news. Here's Sally.
Good morning. Detectives believe a 20-year-old West Australian man accused of plotting a terror attack was radicalised online. Jason Joseph Michaels is behind bars this morning after police seized knives, a ballistic vest, gas masks and a manifesto from his family home northeast of Perth. He is accused of plotting attacks on WA's Parliament House, police headquarters and mosques. Police say he was involved in an encrypted group chat with other white supremacists. In breaking news this morning, an e-bike rider has been critically injured after crashing into a street sign in Sydney's inner south. The rider, a 44-year-old man, wasn't wearing a helmet, lost control around 10 last night in Waterloo. It's believed he went into cardiac arrest shortly after the crash. He was rushed to hospital. A tropical storm is unleashed on parts of South Australia, causing widespread flash flooding. Let's go live to Hayden Nelson in Adelaide. Hayden, the threat unfortunately isn't over with the wild weather.
It hasn't subsided, Sally. In fact, the Bureau says the worst is still to come from the strongest system seen in Adelaide in South Australia in a decade. This tropical storm yet to pack plenty of punch, with predictions still for 40 to 100 millimetres and a severe weather prediction for intense rainfall as well as potentially life-threatening flash flooding. Now, the SES say they've responded to about 423 calls for assistance, including 3 swiftwater rescues, and that impact is still being felt today. The danger in the River Murray, where that rain is falling very intensely at the moment. They are responding to flooding, water reaching up to homes in Loxton at the moment and Kingston on Murray. That is happening right now. So certainly this flood risk still very real. They say the downpours which we've seen over the weekend here in Adelaide over the past 7 days across the state will continue tonight. So they are very much on alert and telling drivers and locals to stay alert for that flash flooding they say could prove deadly. Sally?
All right, thank you very much for the update. Hayden Nelson there. Changing gears now, and Sydney siders have toasted love and equality in the Harbour City's most colourful party of the year. More than 150 floats took part in Mardi Gras last night, alongside up to 10,000 marchers dressed to the nines in sequins and glitter. Police have praised the behaviour of the crowd. Well, it is probably one of the last places you'd expect to find a croc, but locals spotted this one casually swimming in a pond in Newcastle.
I'm literally behind Bunnings looking at a crocodile.
And no, it's not AI. Police confirmed they were called and saw the reptile for themselves. They kept their distance and then called in the experts. It is believed the croc may have been someone's illegal pet. All right, let's go to David now. He's got your sport.
Thanks, Sal. Well, we are just hours away from the NRL's third instalment of the Las Vegas season opener, with a blockbuster doubleheader kicking off this afternoon. Let's go live to 7 News sports reporter Jaleesa App. She's at the pub. She's in Sin City. The action gets underway very soon at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, the pub at midday, where I belong in Las Vegas. It's starting to really pump up here. The fans are preloading before they get to the games. I'm actually here with a man the rugby league fans will know very well. He is NRL Roast on Instagram. You've actually been inside the camp. What's it been like?
It's been unbelievable all week. Just getting inside, seeing what the players experience this week, because it's such a hectic week already, but to come here and see what they do and how they compose themselves, unbelievable. And right now we're at a pub where this has been the base for the fans. We've got footy on the TV here, just enjoying it. It's a great experience.
You cover all the clubs on Instagram, but you are a die-hard Dragons fan. Have you kept a lid on the fandom?
No, absolutely not. I've been dissing all the other teams. Normally during the year I take it a bit easy, but this week's a little bit different. Dragons in Vegas, I've got to show my fandom, right?
How did you take to Flano's comments that you're not going to win the premiership, though?
Oh, look, no, he's just keeping us under the radar, right? We're definitely going to make top 8, maybe top 4, and take out the comp. He's just letting everyone know, don't forget about us, and we'll win some games then.
That's very off-brand for a Dragons fan to be positive. You're the most pessimistic fans I've ever found. What's the score going to be? Give me a prediction.
Oh, we're winning by 30.
Winning by 30?
We'll probably keep it to 0 too, so 30-0.
I'm going to bet that he hasn't actually put a bet on that, knowing that wild prediction. But guys, it's really pumping up here. The teams, they are down to the serious business. They're all preparing to head to the stadium. Just a few hours till kick-off.
Look, any live cross from a pub is a good live cross in my books, Jaleesa. Thanks for that. We'll check it again shortly. To the AFL now, and rising Fremantle star Murphy Reed's ready to reach new heights this year after a stellar performance in the Dockers' final pre-season hit-out against the Crows. For Josh Tracy booted 5 goals, and 19-year-old Murphy led with 30 disposals as Freo clawed from behind to win 84-68.
He's been great. Yeah, he's evolved his game. We're using him slightly different, but he's having an impact wherever we use him.
Towering recruit Mason Cox impressed ahead of the Dockers' round 1 clash against Geelong. Well, footy is back, and so the rivalry between mates begins. Whether it's AFL, NRL or both, you can join the Game tipping platform. Look, it's free and anyone around Australia can join. So grab your mates, make your own competition or join one with our expert tippers. Register at thegame.com.au and get ready for kickoff. Right, time for a check of your weather now with JT.
We're on the water. We are talking about SailGP. This is Aidan. Because he is driving, we cannot show you his face. It's like being a dentist. But this is the VIP boat that you get to go out if you are lucky enough. We're going to talk about SailGP straight after the forecast.
Weekend sunrise weather brought to you by Viking. No kids and no casinos. Call 138 747 or visit viking.com today.
Brizzy, likely to see some showers today, 29. Sydney, clearing showers and 27. Mostly cloudy in Canberra and 25. Melbourne, possible showers and 26. Hobart, cloudy and 27. Showers for Adelaide and 27. Perth, sunny and 26. Mostly sunny for Broome and 33. Darwin, possible thunderstorms and 29. And showers for Alice Springs and 32. The Aussies are full of superstars and they're all under coach Ben Durham. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for getting up early for us.
Yeah, thanks. It was definitely a late night last night.
Yeah, racing a little bit later in Sydney than normal, and it was light winds yesterday. It looked like it was pretty tough going.
Yeah, real tricky day, the sort of southeasterly. So, yeah, don't often see that on the harbour, and it was very tricky. But, yeah, it came off pretty well in the end.
And one new team member who shone yesterday. What a great start to the season for Goobs.
Yeah, Ian Jensen, amazing, the Lake Macquarie boy. He had his first race with the Bonds Flying Roos, and we won that one, so that was huge for him after the injury.
So the Aussies currently, they're leading the competition, but for this event in second place. So what happens on the water today?
Yeah, so we're in the hunt for the final today in second. We're going to have 3 fleet races today, and then hopefully go into the final from there.
But it is such exciting racing. If you're in Sydney and you haven't experienced SailGP, find a nice point on the edge of the harbour, bring a little esky and settle back. I think it starts at 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, 5:30, twilight races tonight, so perfect time to be out in the harbour.
Happy days. And as I said, showers clearing, so hopefully you can stay dry as well. We'll see you in half an hour. Thank you.
Thank you, JT. We'll check in again shortly. Returning now, though, to our breaking news. The Middle East is teetering on the brink of all-out war this morning, with reports Iran's supreme leader has been killed in an airstrike.
Chief reporter Chris Reason is there in Tel Aviv. Chris, quite extraordinary, that vision that you and your cameraman Jimmy Cannon were able to get just a short time ago.
Yeah, look, it's unusual to see a ballistic missile breach the defensive systems that this country has around it, particularly the capital here, Tel Aviv. You've all been very familiar with the way Iron Dome and these air defence systems work. They track the incoming missiles, they fire up into the air, they literally move through the air back and forth, lock on to the target, smash it in a million pieces, it all rains down. Normally you don't hear about it. That's what's been happening most of today. But this one particular one managed to get through. It's not infallible, it's not 100%. We know that during the 12-day war last year, Iran sent through about 500 ballistic missiles, and it had about a 15% failure rate. 30 Israeli people were killed in missiles that managed to get through. It's a well-oiled machine here, guys. It's fascinating to be a part of. When the alarms go off, you quietly and carefully sort of pick up your bag, you grab bag, head off down to the bunker, you sit down there with, sometimes in our case, in our hotel, hundreds of other people. Every Israeli is absolutely used to this system, and you just interviewed that family that had their own little bunker shelter safe room. It's just part of the way of life here and across the Middle East as well. Everybody's used to this level of violence.
Reza, yeah, as you say, we just spoke to that mother before, Emily Gian. She's got her 3 kids. She's in the family's bunker right now. She spoke to us about her fears and her anxieties being in there at the moment. You've been on the streets in the past 12 hours as well. What is the feeling out there? Because, as you say, this is a country that is quite well accustomed to this form of conflict.
It is, but it's an essential difference here, Dave, because normally they're used to conflict that's delivered to them by smaller terrorism groups. I say smaller advisedly, but groups like Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. They fire these crude homemade rockets into Israel. They're a bit easier and quicker for Iron Dome to bring down. This is next level destruction. This is the Iranians with their sophisticated, massive ballistic missiles. They're hypersonic. They can move at up to 5 times the speed of sound. Iran is 1,500 kilometres that way. A missile can take about 12 minutes to get here. The Israelis will track it, and they put out an alarm. All of the audible alarms go off in the streets around the city, and the alarms go off in the hotel rooms here, telling you that it's going to hit in 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 11 minutes. You try to get yourself together, and then about a minute and a half before it's actually going to impact, then second set of alarms goes saying, get inside now. And the level of tension that's produced in the streets of Israel this time round for me, and I've been here multiple times over many years, it's palpable. You can feel how much more fear there is about Iran's particular offensive weapons, these ballistic missiles. And that's something that Donald Trump spoke so much about. He's not just worried about the nukes, he wants to do something about the ballistic missiles as well.
Reza, let's talk about the timing here. Why is this happening now? What has sort of led us to this point? Because we've seen the US build up their military might in the region over the last month.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching Donald Trump react to that. And he is the leader of this operation, make no mistake. And the cheer squad from Israel is... And here we go, the alarms are starting to sound off now. The cheer squad from Israel is loud and proud. They want to get rid of this regime, and they want to see the Ayatollah Khamenei rolled. So they've been supporting Trump. But Trump had made some major statements about supporting the protesters. Remember that back in January, thousands and thousands of them had come out on the streets in Tehran wanting an end to this regime. And there'd been an effective massacre, guys. Thousands of them killed. The estimates go from something like 6,000 to Trump reckons 33,000 people literally in the streets, machine gunned down by the secret police and by the paramilitary police, the ICRG, who basically just killed their own citizens to suppress that opposition. Trump said, nope, I'm coming in to help. Everyone's been waiting for that to happen. Well, today, that help became very, very real. We've got to actually make a move here, guys. We might wrap it up there.
Yep. OK. Go.
Thanks, Rezo. Stay safe.
All right, let's bring in political scientist Simon Jackman now. Simon, we're hearing on pretty good authority that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has been killed. Who takes over? There isn't a clear opposition, right?
No, and indeed I wouldn't say yet that the government has been wiped out yet, right? There's more to regime change in Iran than taking out the supreme leader, right? Even if he has been taken out. There's the Revolutionary Guard. There's the political wing. There's the sort of, it's a complicated system over there. It's almost like you've got the president as opposed to the prime minister. Think about it a little bit like that, but with this religious overlay that you get in the Iranian system. But there is more to the Iranian state than the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, who allegedly has been killed. The question is, who else was with him? In that pretty devastating looking strike on that entire leadership compound there in the middle of Tehran.
Right, so Iran is now involved in this conflict. They've been firing at other Gulf states and US interests. We're talking about the UAE, Bahrain as well. So they are pretty preoccupied doing that at the moment. Is the time now right for, as Donald Trump says, the people of Iran who are against this regime to now rise up and seize that mantle? Are they able to? Because they tried not that long ago, they failed, but that was up against the full might of this regime. Now that perhaps it's got one eye off the ball, is now actually the moment?
I think this is a very real-time situation. I think when organised opposition senses that perhaps it's not just the supreme leader who's been taken out, but perhaps that entire top tier of the state, and that the Revolutionary Guard has been significantly degraded, therefore it is safe to come onto the streets. Right? That's when they'll rise up and take that action that I think Donald Trump is inviting them to take. Key fact, internet capability in Iran and communications, it's very hard to organise and communicate with one. It's very hard to get images out of Iran right now to just understand what the state of facts on the ground. That plays very well for the regime and quite poorly for people trying to get fragments of information. Is now our moment. How do I contact you? How do we get out on the street? How do we
the organising?
Absolutely. And if the internet is down and if bombs are still falling, you might just pump the brakes on that.
It is those logistical challenges as well, and the planning that we're just not clear about how much of that is in place. Let's talk about how significant it is, because we haven't really seen Israel and the United States overtly be part of a military operation like this, where they're saying it's not a one hit and done situation. They're talking about this being protracted and maximalist.
The extent of American assets that were moved into the theatre was staggering. Every day, we're getting open source intel reports on how much American hardware was coming into the region. At one point last week, 40 to 50% of all deployable US air power was surrounding Iran. That's a staggering number. That is not rattling the sword. That is, we are here to play and we are here to do regime change. I think that became very clear in the last week, 2, 3 or so, as just the sheer volume of US firepower was starting to be understood by everybody. So I think that's where we're at. It's no surprise. I think the amount of firepower there is to be able to sustain these operations in case they haven't got that top tier of leadership, and they've got to go in and hit yet more sites, perhaps more bunkers, more secure sites.
Simon, stay with us. We want to hear more from you in a moment. But let's return to Canberra now and to 7 News political editor Mark Riley. Hey, Riles, the US is our biggest ally. How involved do you envisage Australia now becoming involved in this?
I think Australia's military support will be limited, if any. We do have some military advisors who are seconded to US-led coalition forces in the region, so there might be some involvement in planning and operation execution, but I wouldn't expect Australian boots on the ground at this stage unless this becomes a much broader conflict, which is always possible. The government's primary responsibility is for the safety of Australians in the region, and there are about 1,000 in Iran and many thousands more in Israel, Lebanon and the Emirates. That's who the government is focused on today. And the warning there from Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke on Weekend Sunrise this morning will be ringing in people's ears. It was, if you can leave, then do, and if you can't, make arrangements to protect yourself and your family. So I think Australia's involvement militarily will be limited. Politically, it seems to be generally supporting the US and Israel in this, guys.
But if this turns into a protracted, drawn-out conflict, Australia, there is a very real chance, could be drawn into this.
Well, yes, but I mean, let's hope this isn't World War III. Let's hope that this is a limited, more surgical series of strikes and that takes out the regime, if that is the objective, and you do affect that change that Simon's talking about. It was interesting what Tony Burke didn't say to us this morning. He didn't say whether the Albanese government had been briefed by the Trump administration beforehand or whether the government explicitly supports the objective of forcing regime change in Iran, or what the objective is. Hopefully we get some more clarity on that today. He did say the Australian government, though, supports the broader efforts to deny Iran nuclear weapons. So this is a rogue fundamentalist state that concern about the threat it poses to international stability and security has been there for a very long time. But broadly, there are also questions about the legal basis for this operation under international law. Iran is in breach of its obligations under the UN resolutions. I'm sure that's true, but there's been no meeting of the Security Council and indeed not even a congressional meeting in the US. So Donald Trump is making it pretty clear that he and Israel are doing this to rid the world of an existential threat. That's a good thing, and he'll worry about the political consequences later, if at all, which is interesting and very Trump.
Yeah, also interesting that other allies, usual allies of the US, aren't all in support of this military action. When you look at France, Emmanuel Macron coming out, Spain's Prime Minister, not everybody is supporting this. All right, Riles, we'll come back to you.
Very different too, when you think about it, Mon, because Spain and France, don't forget, or had their own colonial posts in Africa and have large Muslim populations, and they would want to be playing the politics of this very safely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We'll stick around, Riles. We'll talk to you again shortly, mate. Let's get some more news, though, with Sally.
Leading the news at 8:30, Israeli officials say Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has been killed just hours after the US and Israel launched an attack on the country. Explosions are ringing out across parts of the Middle East as America carries out a massive and ongoing operation, urging Iranians to help topple the regime. The conflict is threatening to spread as Tehran hits back with retaliatory strikes. This video shows people fleeing for their lives when a missile hit the Qatari capital, Doha. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia supports the US in its mission to prevent Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon. And less than an hour ago, Iranian missiles struck the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. Our cameras were rolling the moment it happened. Iran has lashed out with retaliatory strikes on multiple countries and cities, including Bahrain, the UAE, Kuwait and Qatar. Meanwhile, airlines have scrapped flights right across the Middle East, leaving Australian travellers in limbo today. Let's bring our reporter Sam Payne, who's at Sydney Airport this morning. Hello to you, Sam. There are a lot of delays and cancellations there this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sally. That's right. And look, even as you just showed that video in Doha, obviously that airspace is now closed, leaving passengers stranded all over the Middle East. It's about 1 a.m. over there at this point in time, but a lot of them would still be bunkered down in that airport, waiting to see what is going on. There's almost 900 flights that have been cancelled worldwide. Just for perspective for viewers, through that Middle East route, a lot of those Middle Eastern airlines, there's around 90,000 passengers that transit through there per day, and it's also affecting here in Sydney. Now, we've caught up with some flyers that were supposed to fly to Dubai last night. They were informed that it was cancelled. They couldn't get accommodation due to Mardi Gras, so they've had to spend the night here in the airport, still in limbo. We caught up with some of them just before. Take a listen.
We were told by the pilot, bad situation, Iran, airspace closed. We had to get emergency visas. They took our passports away and we had to wait hours for them to give our passports back. And they said, well, now what do we do? You've got to leave the airport because you can't stay in the terminal. Well, what's the accommodation? You need to sort that out yourself. Do you know people in Sydney? Well, no, I don't know people in Sydney.
And obviously quite scary times for a lot of these passengers. 3 flights were turned around last night while in the air. 3 Qatar Airways flights. One went back to Melbourne, one went back to Brisbane. Another was allowed back here in Sydney past curfew, which is incredibly rare. A lot of these passengers in limbo, unsure when they'll be able to fly back to Australia or even leave Australia to go back to their home countries. Sally?
Yep, a lot of uncertainty today. All right, thank you very much, Sam, for that update. And make sure you join 7 News tonight, live at 6 with all the day's major developments. Then at 8:20 p.m, don't miss the special event Inside Operation Epic Fury, hosted by Michael Usher. To other news now, when streets are being flooded and homes left without power as a tropical storm unleashed on Adelaide overnight. More than 180,000 lightning strikes were recorded across South Australia as emergency crews responded to hundreds of calls for help. Some areas saw over 120 millimetres of rain fall in hours. While the system's now tracking south, it still could produce further isolated storms and heavy falls today. Tributes are pouring in for Australian actress Lorraine Bailey, who has passed away at the age of 89. For more than 6 decades, she captivated audiences on the stage and screen, with starring roles in Carson's Law and The Sullivans.
Oh, John, that isn't fair.
That's right, Mum. It isn't fair.
Where's he been all this time? It's been over 2 years.
I just can't take
Has he been injured all this time? Has he been in hospital all this time?
I've told you all I can.
Bailey was also the original presenter of Play School. Unregistered dirt bike riders have been caught on video dicing with death on one of Sydney's busiest roads. At least 10 hoons performed stunts taking up all 3 lanes of traffic on the Bradfield Highway just north of the Harbour Bridge yesterday afternoon. Police say they are aware of the incident. American lawmakers say Bill Clinton's testimony to Congress raises new questions about Donald Trump's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and when the pair fell out. Mr. Clinton was grilled for hours yesterday on his own interactions with the pedophile billionaire.
I know what I saw, and more importantly, what I didn't see. And I know what I did, and more importantly, what I didn't do. I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong.
Democrats argue his deposition could pave the way for Donald Trump to be next. Dozens of homes are burned to the ground after a fire broke out in a small village in Indonesia. The flames took off and spread rapidly through mostly wooden houses. Up to 30 were destroyed. There's no word yet on casualties. The cause is being investigated. A titan of Australian racing has died. The Sport today mourning the loss of great Maccabi diva. Let's go live to our reporter Phoebe Worthley at Flemington Racecourse. Phoebe, she was the only racehorse ever to win 3 Melbourne Cups.
That's right, Sal. Good morning. The racing legend has been remembered after her sudden death at the age of 27. Now, Maccabi diva won a record 3 consecutive Melbourne Cups from 2003. She earned herself the title of Australian Racehorse of the Year in 2005 before she was later retired. Now, Maccabi diva passed away after a brief battle with colic yesterday morning. Her owner, Tony, shared a few words saying she was never just a racehorse, she was family. She gave us joy every single day. Now, tributes are already flowing at the feet of her statue in the stands just behind me here at Flemington as punters and racing royalty come to terms with the devastating loss.
All right, thanks very much, Phoebe. Queensland's booming tourism industry is under threat, with operators spending big just to keep themselves insured. Let's go live to Georgia Costi on the Gold Coast today. Georgia, premiums have skyrocketed.
Sally, they really have. In the last year, we had 28 million tourists come here to Queensland. It's a staggering amount, and it would make you think that business is booming. But in many cases, some of our biggest tourism operators are struggling to keep the doors open, and that is because of rising insurance premiums. In some cases, they've gone up 525% in just 5 years. This means that some businesses are trying to get insured by overseas companies, or in some cases simply not getting insurance at all, which means they then can't even operate. 150 tourism operators have written to the Tourism Industry Council to ask for support. They're going to go to the federal government and ask for some aid because, Sally, we cannot afford to lose one of our biggest industries here in Queensland, tourism.
Yeah, you can say that again, Georgia. All right, thanks for that. Well, kicking off as we speak is the 46th edition of the Brit Awards, celebrating the best in British music from Britain and right around the globe. And as we go to air this morning, we're going to bring you the latest of who's really, top notch on the red carpet, but also snatching the awards. Ozzy Osbourne is set to be honoured with a Lifetime Achievement Award. The Black Sabbath frontman, who sadly passed away last year, is being celebrated for his impact and influence on music right across the world. Singer Robbie Williams will lead the charge, closing the awards with an all-star rock tribute performance, which is set to be an emotional one because Ozzy's family, his daughter and wife Sharon are there, so I'm sure
it's lovely.
Quite a few tears.
Thank you, Sal.
Thank you, Sal. Let's go check a sport now. And the NRL season starts today with a blockbuster doubleheader set to get underway in Las Vegas this afternoon.
And we're joined now by Roosters legend Luke Keary. Good morning to you, Luke. Oh my gosh, the atmosphere in Vegas is extraordinary. Can you believe that this is going on for an Australian game?
It is honestly unbelievable. It's getting bigger every year. We're here at Old Red with the Dragon supporters. They've got country bands. They're about 2.5 hours from kickoff. The English fans are going mad. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, well, look, still a couple of hours to go. Be honest with us. What's the behaviour like? Have they gone early?
No, it's all right. It's all right. There was a few people that went early last night. A few fans a bit dusty this morning, but everyone's starting to gather. All the Dragons fans are here. They'll get ready to march into the stadium. The Bulldogs are doing a big march at 3 o'clock here, and the English fans have dead set taken over every single pub.
Yeah, I think that's
on
called
the strip. So their game will kick off in about an hour.
Yeah, when you go out hard and then you drizzle at the end. Okay, let's get down to the predictions. Who are you tipping to win some of these games?
Well, I've got to say the Dragons tonight. I think they might cause an upset. I think Newcastle might get the win too over the Cowboys.
Oh, there you go. You heard it here. Hey, just zooming out a bit though, Luke. Tell us, mate, the fact that we are now over in Vegas, we're in our 3rd year, this has been really a roaring success, hasn't it, this franchise expansion?
Yeah, it has, mate. I was here the first year. It's definitely grown a lot. It's been a terrific initiative by the NRL, Peter and Andrew. And, mate, it's a great experience. Some of these fans, they get to come over here, they get to mingle with their favourite players, they get to spend time in America, go to Allegiant Stadium. It is a fantastic idea. They're talking about a global round next year or the year after, so they're just trying to spread the game, and it's a terrific initiative.
Wow, the sky's the limit, isn't it? Well, Luke, we hope that you enjoy yourself. And David just kept on pushing there. Has everyone been well behaved?
I wanted to hear some more stories about the bad behaviour, particularly those British supporters that have made the trip over.
Yeah, but what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And Luke, enjoy. Thank you,
mate. All right, let's check the weather now with JT.
Helmet totally unnecessary at these speeds, but the F50s do reach speeds of over 100 kilometres an hour, so necessary if you're out in SailGP. It's a beautiful morning in Sydney. Let's go around Australia.
Weekend sunrise weather brought to you by Viking. No kids and no casinos. Call 138 747 or visit Viking.com today.
Brizzy, possible showers in 27. Sydney, the showers are clearing at 27. Mostly cloudy in Canberra. 25. Melbourne, possible showers in 26. In Hobart, partly cloudy and 27. Showers for Adelaide and 27. Perth, sunny and 26. Mostly sunny for Broome and 33. Darwin, possible thunderstorms and 29. And showers for Alice Springs and 32. Well, Lisa Darmanin is the on-water reporter. So, 2 times Olympian, and now you get to be on a boat out in the middle of these F-50s as they're fanging around 100 kilometres per hour. That sounds dangerous.
It's a little bit more hectic than this, as you said, but you're getting a little bit of a taste of it this morning. It's amazing. I think SailGP is incredible. It's incredible to be in the heart of the action, see it all happen, and bring everybody down onto the water to see what I see.
If people are new to the sport, what sort of sports fan does SailGP attract?
SailGP is racing. It's racing at its core. It's adrenaline fueled. It's fast. It's chaotic. Sometimes it's really tactical as well. But in the end, we do our best to explain what's happening out there. But if you just come on down and watch SailGP, it's awesome machines going fast around a racetrack.
Yes, and you also have the chance of maybe bumping into a bit of a celebrity. Have you had the chance to see Hugh Jackman or Ryan Reynolds since they've become part of the Australian team?
Well, I saw Ryan walking the dock in New York, but I haven't seen him in Sydney yet. So maybe we'll see Hugh rocking the dock this morning.
I did hear Ryan's brother might be around, actually.
That's the rumour, but the Aussie team, they keep their cards close, that's for sure.
Gotcha. It is so exciting. It's on Sydney Harbour this afternoon at 5:30. You can see it.
Well, he's always said it. He's got a head for helmets, doesn't he?
Yeah, why not? Just wear it, just to be safe.
Well, stay with us. More of our special coverage on the conflict in the Middle East after this short break.
Whose fault is that if it was...
Welcome back. Thanks for your company on this Sunday morning. And returning to our breaking news in the Middle East, let's bring in now Middle East analyst, Dr. Roger Shanahan. Roger, thank you so much for being with us. Look, Donald Trump has just tweeted now confirming, saying that Supreme Leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead alongside 6 other senior Iranian officials. OK, so if he has been killed, and it seems as if he has, what happens next? Is the line of succession obvious here?
No, it's not. There's also reports that his Ayatollah Khamenei's son may have been killed, who was potentially in the line of succession. But the Constitution allows for a small leadership council of 3 senior members of the judiciary, the president and 1 other, to take over in the event of the death of the Supreme Leader until another Supreme Leader has been appointed. So there are constitutional mechanisms in place for an interim kind of leadership council. We'll have to see how likely that is to occur, and you would imagine being under attack, it is probably quite difficult to get hold of the people who would form this leadership council. But there is an intermediate succession plan for the governance of Iran, and you assume that's what's being put into place at the moment.
Right, so in this immediate instance right now, there is someone still apparently operating this apparatus?
Yeah, certainly. It would have come as no surprise to the Iranian regime that its senior leadership would be targeted. There have been media reports over the past couple of weeks that designated successors for those leadership positions down several layers have been nominated, and that's probably what's taking place at the moment.
With this leadership now, I suppose, somewhat of a vacuum, as you say, the Supreme Leader is gone and potentially 6 other of his acolytes as well. Is the moment now right for opponents of this regime to rise up and seize the mantle in any capacity?
No, listen, I don't think so. The opposition is quite fractured. The regime and its supporters are more deeply embedded in Iranian society than many might give credit to. So there's a lot of both political, social and economic reasons for those affiliated to the regime to maintain the status quo. And on top of that, there's also the issue about taking over government while you're under attack from Israel and America. It may not be seen as the appropriate time for a popular uprising.
Donald Trump has just posted on Truth Social just a couple of minutes ago, again, calling for the Iranian people to stand up and overthrow this regime. There's a few issues here. One of them is that message even getting through to the people of Iran? And how would they do it? Because while he is offering immunity, that is assuming that whatever regime takes over is US sympathetic.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the big problem with trying to institute a regime change, particularly a regime change that you're trying to incite through an air campaign or extended air campaign, is that you're not really in control of events on the ground. The only people in control of events on the ground are the Iranians themselves, and they're the ones who have to decide whether the time is right. There's no indication at the moment that the regime, or particularly Revolutionary Guard Corps, have left their posts, that they're not in control at the moment. So at the moment, I don't think a call from President Trump for Iranians to rise up is going to be sufficient for Iranians to rise up.
Well, Roger, stick around. We want to talk to you again shortly. But right now, let's bring in Jennifer Parker from the ANU National Security College. Good morning to you, Jennifer. You worked in Bahrain at the US Navy's 5th Fleet Base. And as you can see in this vision here, that base was actually hit by Iran. Talk us through this. We know that recall had happened of US diplomats, but would that base have been empty at the time?
Yeah, look, thanks for having me on. It wouldn't have been totally empty, but most people would have been evacuated. I mean, the US has been through this before with their bases, including in the 2020 Gulf crisis. I was there then. Generally what happens is if they're expecting there's going to be some sort of conflict or attacks, they do remove most people. In fact, the commander of 5th Fleet is probably at sea right now in the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. That said, there still would have been some people on there. There is some imagery floating around social media. I haven't verified it, of some people on the base, but there's no reports of any casualties at this stage. Still, pretty graphic to see that base being hit. It is the hub of naval planning in the Middle East.
Okay, I imagine it must have been very difficult for you to see that vision, given that you lived there. Have you heard from any of your friends or colleagues in the region?
So I haven't heard from any friends or colleagues that have been based in Bahrain at the moment. I've heard from a lot of friends and colleagues that have served there over the years. And you're right, it is graphic to see your former workplace being hit by a missile. But I guess the thing is, you always know when you're serving in the military that, especially in the Middle East, if there is to be a conflict between the US and Iran, the command headquarters of the US Navy in the Middle East is always going to be high on that target. So that's kind of a known thing, but still quite graphic. And hopefully there have been no injuries or casualties at the Bahrain naval base.
Jennifer, how do you see the attack on these territories, and I'm talking about the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, how do you see that now reshaping that region?
Well, look, over the last couple of years, there had certainly been a number of those countries seeking to reach out and develop relationships with Iran. The UAE in Iran and Iran do seem to have some sort of a close relationship at times. Now you'll have all the Gulf Cooperation countries now being quite anti-Iran. Look, they would have expected that these strikes were to happen if the US attacked Iran. It's pretty well known that the next step for Iran would be a further regional escalation. But I think now the chances of Iran coming back under the current regime within that region and being accepted is incredibly unlikely at this stage.
Okay, in the last 48 hours, we were actually hearing that peace talks were actually getting somewhere between Iran and the US. In terms of why the US has chosen to strike now, we know that Iran is very weakened and its proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis are also weakened. Is that why you feel as if this escalation has happened now?
Yeah, look, I think the US and Israel have seen an opportunity. Clearly, there's some reporting coming out at the moment that there was a major leadership meeting in Iran, having a number of key leaders in one place. If that is indeed true, it prevents a key opportunity to take that target out if you're thinking about strikes on Iran. So that potentially prompted the timing. But more broadly, the peace talks, it was very clear, despite the rhetoric coming out from Iran that these were positive, that Iran was never going to agree to not enriching uranium. They were never going to agree to limiting their ballistic missile program and not funding proxies. The US was never going to accept them not agreeing to that. So at some point, whether it was now, whether it was in a couple of months or a couple of years, we were going to get here. I think the other thing that has probably prompted US thinking is they have a number of major problems across the globe, including, of course, in our region, there is significant concern for China's militarization and the use of that military capability in the region, what that could mean for conflict. If Iran is seen by the US as weakened right now, if they think they had an opportunity to take them off the chessboard per se to solve that problem, then I think that's why they have taken it. And we've got to remember too that Iran has been feeding instability in that region for a very long time. I've deployed there many times, and every time I've deployed there, it's been in response to Iran seeding instability, attacking ships, attacking Saudi Arabia, using their proxies to attack across the region. Of course, we saw Iranian-sponsored attacks in Australia last year.
Well, Jen Parker from the ANU National Security College, thank you for your unique insights this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
And we cross live now to an Australian living in Tel Aviv, Lisa Sejlov. Hello there, Lisa. Good to see you this morning. So are you in your safe room at the moment? There's been another night of rockets. Tell us what's happening.
Yes, we've just been released from our safe room, actually, but I'm actually sitting in it to do this interview. Since 8 o'clock this morning, we've spent about 10 hours in the safe room. It's been like rocket missiles, alert warnings, and so we've had to run into the safe room all the time. So it's been a very long day.
We've just been looking at some of those photos from within your bunker as well, Lisa. Now, one of your daughters there, she served in the Israeli Defence Force now for 3 years. She's now been called back to serve. As a mum, how are you feeling about that?
Well, she's my last of 4 children, so I'm pretty used to it, actually. And we've just been for 2.5 years. She's been in the army in a combat position during the war. So yeah, I'm a bit scared, but I have all the trust and faith in her that she'll be fine.
Tell us about preparation, because look, the situation has been on a knife's edge for some weeks now, and there has been warnings, but I imagine it's difficult to prepare every single day. So what ended up happening when this all sort of hit, about 12 hours ago?
Well, actually, what you say is true. It's been very tense for the past 6-7 weeks. But people, your life goes on. You have to travel overseas for work. You have to come back. People have taken computers. People think, okay, maybe I'll get stuck. And today people did get stuck. And I guess they'll make contingency plans. We've been preparing, but not really preparing. Like yesterday, there was a marathon in Tel Aviv. 60,000 people participated. So life has gone on, and then bang, 8:30 this morning, we had alerts that this whole operation had begun, and that the US, together with Israel, were sending over planes to Iran. So
I was just going to say, Lisa, that is the remarkable thing about Israel, that even in the face of this type of conflict, and I've been there just after October 7 as well, life does go on, and as you say, the marathon has been taking place and other community events as well. Lisa, we thank you for your time this morning, and we will check in again shortly. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. And make sure that you join 7 News tonight. Live coverage at 6 o'clock with all the day's major developments, wrapping it up. Then at 8:20, a special event inside Operation Epic Fury, which will be hosted by Michael Usher. You're watching Weekend Sunrise, our top stories this morning.
Breaking now, on the brink of war, Tel Aviv hit just moments ago. The Middle East on a knife's edge with reports Iran's supreme leader has been killed. Our global team coverage live as the world reacts.
Trump's call for regime change.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
The US president's major combat operation.
Australia reacts. The PM supporting the United States. Travel chaos from coast to coast.
Back home, Adelaide's big wet life-threatening flash flooding to batter the state. A monster downpour expected today.
Farewelling one of the greats. Melbourne Cup legend Maccabi Diva dies, a once-in-a-generation icon.
Plus, Sydney's Mardi Gras parade, all the pride and politics from the city's biggest party.
And the stars have arrived. Red carpet glamour live from the Brit Awards on Weekend Sunrise this Sunday, the 1st of March 2026.
Across Australia, this is Weekend Sunrise with Monique and Tobin on 7 and 7+.
Good morning and thanks for joining us for our special coverage this morning. We begin with major breaking news. Donald Trump has confirmed the Supreme Leader of Iran is dead. It's understood Ayatollah Khamenei was taken out just hours after the US and Israel launched a military attack on the country.
Now, Tehran has responded with a spray of attacks on multiple cities right across the Middle East. Let's bring in our team now. First to Chief Reporter Chris Reason, who's in Tel Aviv. Now, Reza, we understand that Dubai's main airport has just been hit. This is huge. Many Australians will have travelled to Dubai. They go there on holidays, and it's also a place that is a stopover point.
Yeah, exactly, Mon. This is going to bring it home for so many of us, isn't it? I mean, we're getting these pictures in just a few minutes ago. I think we're seeing them now on your screens. You can see evacuations going on there at DXB, Dubai Airport. It is the world's biggest airport, handles some 260 million passengers a year. And as you say, Mon, there are thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of Australians that use that airport as well, to holiday there or to transit through. And we know that some Australians may even be in that airport as we speak. There was a flight that arrived there this morning from Sydney straight into that war zone, and there have been delays going on. The pictures from earlier in the day before these shots of the attack show tens of thousands of people stuck in the airport in that transit hold-all waiting to move forward. This has been an extraordinary day in this region, guys. We've now entering the 14th hour of this Operation Epic Fury, this joint operation from the United States and Israel. They have informed us that so far they've conducted some 500 hits across Iran in those 14 hours. They've been hitting things like the parliament, military bases, the nuclear installations, courtrooms, their atomic centre as well, and even the home in the compound of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And as you say, there have been reports now confirmed by Donald Trump that he has been killed in those, as had a suite of leaders in that regime. We know the Defence Minister's gone, the head of the Army, the head of the RCG, the Republican Guard. This has been an extraordinary clean out. Apparently, Israeli media saying about 30 senior leaders in various military factions across the country have been assassinated by air. These are decapitation strikes. We knew this was going to happen when this began. We didn't expect them to be able to take down Ayatollah Khamenei as well. Now, it's had severe impacts, obviously, across the region as well, as Iran hits back, not just at its traditional target here in Israel and Tel Aviv especially, but across the region. This fury that they're experiencing right now, they're hitting out at everything and anything they can. 6 countries so far have been hit by their rockets, by their ballistic missiles, and by their infamous, notorious Shahada drones. And they're doing extraordinary damage, not just to US Army and military bases, but to civilian infrastructure across this region. The entire place now has been caught up in this Middle East war.
They are extraordinary pictures coming out of Dubai. Chris Reason, thank you for that. Let's go to Rob Scott in Washington, D.C. now. And Rob, what does the White House have to say?
Morning, Dave. Well, look, it was the Commander-in-Chief himself who put out a social media message this morning to alert the Americans authorise these strikes. A brief message recorded from his home in Florida outlining the 3 main goals. The first is to make sure that Iran can never develop a nuclear weapon. The second is to crush its military and its ballistic missile facilities. And the third is to try to bring about regime change. Donald Trump posting on Truth Social not that long ago that this is the greatest chance the Iranian people have to take back their country. in that same post, he also mentions that this bombing will continue through the week or for as long as is necessary to achieve the objectives of this mission. And look, as with many decisions made by Donald Trump, this one has been highly divisive here in the United States. There are many people undoubtedly in America who believe that he was forced into a corner when the Iranians would not negotiate on their nuclear weapons, and that America had to act in some way, shape or form. But then there are many other people who we've seen marching through the streets of Washington, D.C. today who are angry that Donald Trump has put US forces in harm's way, particularly after he campaigned on being a president for peace, for not getting involved in these so-called forever wars. But the president has been adamant that Tehran poses an imminent threat, and he had to act to defend the American homeland.
Lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
Now, Donald Trump is monitoring all the developments and the scenario unfolding across the Middle East from his club Mar-a-Lago in Florida. And we've also heard from the White House in the last little while that we will not be seeing or hearing from him again today, guys.
All right, Rob, let's go to Mark Riley now, our political editor who's in Canberra. Let's talk about Australia's response to all of this, Riles. We hear our government is throwing its support behind this action.
It is, Mon. An emergency meeting of Cabinet's National Security Committee is underway here in Canberra now. Intelligence and military chiefs briefing senior ministers on the latest information they have from the White House, the Pentagon and other sources, including that confirmation from Donald Trump that Iran's supreme leader has been taken out. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia's support for the US-led campaign to ensure Iran does not get its hands on nuclear weapons has been there for some time and continues today, and also to support the Iranian people in their struggle against oppression that we saw murderously on the streets there in recent weeks. Let's have a listen to Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke on Weekend Sunrise this morning.
We want the Iranian people to be able to have charge of their government again. In the last few months, we've seen the Iranian people start to rise up, only to be brutally slaughtered by this regime. Thousands of their own citizens killed by this regime.
Now, Tony Burke says the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade is warning people not to travel to the region, and those who are there, and there are several thousands, as Rizzo said, should take defensive action to protect themselves, and if they can get out, they should. Foreign Minister Penny Wong is expected to address the media in Adelaide in the next half an hour or so with some outstanding questions about Australia's prior knowledge of the operations, what deliberations, if any, there have been about possible Australian involvement, and whether the Australian government officially supports the US and Israeli objective of forcing regime change in Iran. Big questions that we hope to get answers for our viewers on later today.
Yeah, we did try and draw Tony Burke on some of those questions. He wouldn't be drawn on it, but what he did say was that commercial operations are expected to take place within the Middle East, so to get Australians back home. However, an extraordinary development just in the last half hour with Dubai Airport being hit. I mean, this is a place
these pictures just into the newsroom right now. You can see the aftermath of that explosion there, of course, as Rizzo pointed out. So many Australians use that as a transit point or even just travelling to the UAE as well. There will be undoubtedly, you'd have to say, Australians caught up in this somehow using that airport. That flight from Sydney had just arrived.
A very ritzy hotel as well. The Fairmont Hotel was hit earlier in the day. That is also in Dubai. There are some injuries there.
And no doubt Foreign Minister Penny Wong will be asked all about that when she does speak, we expect, in the next hour or so.
Yep, we will bring that to you as it happens. Right now, though, here's Sally with more of the day's top stories.
Good morning. Detectives believe a 20-year-old West Australian man accused of plotting a terror attack was radicalised online. Jason Joseph Michaels is behind bars this morning after police seized knives, a ballistic vest, gas masks and a manifesto from his family home northeast of Perth. He is accused of plotting attacks on WA's Parliament House, police headquarters and mosques. Police say he was involved in an encrypted group chat with other white supremacists. An e-bike rider has been critically injured after crashing into a street sign in Sydney's inner south. The rider, a 44-year-old man who was not wearing a helmet, lost control around 10 p.m. at Waterloo. It's believed he went into cardiac arrest shortly after the crash. He was rushed to hospital. A tropical storm is unleashed on parts of South Australia, causing widespread flash flooding. Let's go live to our reporter Hayden Nelson in Adelaide. Hayden, what's the threat like now?
Sally, a monster downpour with life-threatening flash flooding. That is the warning from the Weather Bureau at the moment. There have been about 423 calls to the SES, 3 of them swiftwater rescues across the state. But they say the worst is yet to come from this lingering tropical system when it hits a trough later tonight. At the moment, there are flood efforts underway because water is lapping up at homes along the River Murray in Loxton and Kingston on Murray. But they say there could be rainfall totals of between 40 to 100 millimetres this afternoon. So certainly around Adelaide, around the southeast, the SES on high alert for potentially more flood rescues and certainly more rainfall because this rainstorm certainly has more to come as it muscles into Adelaide. Sally?
All right, thank you very much, Hayden. Sydney Siders have toasted love and equality in the Harbour City's most colourful party of the year. More than 150 floats took part in the Mardi Gras last night, alongside up to 10,000 marchers, all dressed up in sequins and glitter. Police have praised the behaviour of the crowd. All right, let's go to Dave now. He's got your sport.
Thanks for that, Sal. Well, the NRL season opening doubleheader kicks off this afternoon in Las Vegas with thousands set to pack at Allegiant Stadium. Let's go live to 7 News sports reporter Jaleesa Rapp. She's in Sin City. She's still at the pub. How's the atmosphere going there, Jaleesa?
Still at the pub. I promise I will make it to the game, but we're keeping it light and fun here in Sin City. The Dragons have taken over this pub. Look, you can even see highlights there on the big screen of the NRL, and I found myself sort of die-hard Dragons fans. This is Denise. She has come all the way here to Las Vegas. How are you going, Denise?
Really, really good. Really excited.
What's Vegas been like?
It's been amazing. It's been so much fun and so really, really crazy. It's been great.
Did you ever think you would see rugby league in Las Vegas?
Not at all, no. This has been a dream come true.
And you've got heaps of your friends here. You're the spokesperson, though.
Yeah.
What have you guys been doing the past few days?
We went to Fremont Street last night. We had a blast out there. We've been doing lots of shopping and just lots of looking around.
3 games to get through. Are you pacing yourself? I noticed a few empty beers here.
I've got water over there. It's all good. They're all pissheads, not me. Sorry.
I know it's really hard to remember. There is a game to play. How are they going to go?
Yeah, I think they're going to win. I think the Flano's got an ace up his sleeve, so I think he's going to do great.
Oh, Flano will be thrilled to hear you say that, guys. Right now, the teams, they are taking it very easy back in the hotel. The Bulldogs fans are apparently marching here not too long away. We're going to head there. But yeah, it's all kicking off here in just a few hours' time.
Yeah, the party well and truly started. Thanks for that, Jaleesa. Keep yourself tidy. All right, to the AFL now, and rising Fremantle star Murphy Reed's ready to reach new heights this year after a stellar performance in the Dockers' final pre-season hit-out against the Crows. Forward Josh Tracy booted 5 goals and 19-year-old Murphy led with 30 disposals as Freo clawed from behind to win 84-68. Towering recruit Mason Cox impressed ahead of the Dockers' round 1 clash against the Cats. And footy is back, and so the rivalry between mates begins, whether it's the AFL, NRL or both. You can join the game tipping platform. It is free and anyone around Australia can join. So grab your mates, make your own competition or join one with our expert tippers. Register at thegame.com.au and get ready for kickoff. All right, time for another check of your weather now with JT.
Good hustle, solid. Keep pushing, all the way to the finishing line. Come on.
I don't think this is fair. This is Will Ryan's job. I don't know why I'm doing it.
You're a natural. Keep pushing.
Let's pause for the weather. Go to the weather. Max!
Weekend sunrise weather brought to you by Viking. No kids and no casinos. Call 138 747 or visit Viking.com today.
Okay, let me catch my breath here. Brisbane, possible showers and 29. Showers clearing in Sydney, 27. Mostly cloudy for Canberra and 25. Melbourne, possible showers and 26. Hobart, mostly cloudy and 27. Showers and 27 for Adelaide and in Adelaide. Perth, sunny and 26. A sunny day for Broome and 33. Darwin, possible thunderstorms and 29. And showers for Alice Springs and 32. Will, good morning.
Morning.
When you were racing yesterday and when you were doing that, what sort of heart rate are you getting up to?
For me, I'm not the strongest, so I kind of get up in the 180 range pretty quickly. It's tough conditions when it's not very strong winds.
I'm not the strongest. I don't believe you for a second. You're a professional SailGP sailor. You've been to the Olympics twice. You're an OAM. I beg to differ. But this is the Italian team, and you're from Lake Macquarie. How does that work?
Yeah, Lake Macquarie sailors are in high demand. I used to be with the Aussie team and had the opportunity to jump on with the Italians. A bit of a newer team and a few Aussie people there as well. So any chance to be in this circuit and to race on your home water is pretty special.
I am impressed that the Italians managed to get an espresso machine in one of these.
Yeah, we've got one in the pod. We've got a little pizza maker. Only does pineapple pizzas though.
It is a very international field. Lots of Aussies. When you're travelling around the world, does everyone is it a big community or does everyone stay a little bit in their own lane?
It's funny, you get to these events and you're just so focused on performance that you almost don't see each other, but the end night, obviously you cross paths, and when you get the breaks in between, we're all from Lake Macquarie, so we see each other on the holidays.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm going to get my heart rate down and stop sweating before I see you again in half an hour. All the best for today.
Thanks, I hope you got some wind in that forecast.
Yeah,
hopefully. Right. Thank you, JT. Thank you for that. And we've just had some breaking news as well, a response from the Dubai media office regarding that incident at the Dubai airport.
Yes, they are confirming that it had sustained some damage. They're describing it as minor in this incident. Emergency response teams were immediately deployed. Now, 4 staff have sustained injuries. They are receiving medical attention now. Now, the other thing that they're at pains to stress is that most of the terminals were previously cleared by passengers. We need to get further updates on that because we know that there were thousands of people who were basically left stranded with nowhere else to go in the world's busiest airport, Dubai Airport. We can see that there are still passengers in the terminal right now, so more information will come to hand on that.
Yep, and no doubt the Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong will also be questioned about Australia's involvement in that as well.
Yep, we're covering this story throughout the morning. Coming up for you ahead on Weekend Sunrise, our special coverage on the conflict consuming the Middle East. We have every angle covered with our team of reporters and experts right around the globe. Stay with us. Welcome back. Returning to our breaking news now. Israeli officials have told Reuters that the body of Iran's supreme leader has been found in rubble. The supreme leader, listed among 7 senior Iranian officials, Israel says were killed in the strikes.
Let's bring in political scientist Simon Jackman for more. Simon, welcome back. Our major breaking news this morning with those reports. The Iranian supreme leader has been killed in these strikes. What happens now? There's also been reports that some of that senior leadership has been wiped out as well. We're working to verify that. But what happens now?
It's the second question. It's the key one now. There is far more to the Iranian state apparatus than the supreme leader. The question is, and as an earlier guest was saying, I think it was
Jen Parker from the ANU
and Shanahan from Lowy, whose expertise on this matter is best in Australia. There is more to the Iranian state than that. Contingency plans would have been in place for continuity of government operations. Everybody knew something like this was coming and what to do if a decapitation strike, and by the way, not for the first time have senior Iranian leaders been taken out. It's a bit of a dangerous occupation, being either a senior scientist, senior political figure in Iran. They have prepared for this. The question is, how far down have these initial decapitation strikes gone? And hence, why the US, I think, has so many assets in the region to continue this campaign to literally keep taking out those layers of Iranian political and religious and military leadership until we can get to a position where the state is ready to fall over and perhaps a popular uprising is there to
it is unclear who is calling the shots now.
Absolutely.
And we have just seen Dubai Airport has been struck. Now, this is a soft target.
Yep.
This is there were passengers that were stuck in that terminal when this hit. We've heard there's been 4 reported injuries from staff that worked in there. But what can we glean from that? The fact that Iran is now, this isn't a military site, it's a passenger terminal.
If it is a direct hit, a targeted hit on a target like Dubai Airport, that reeks to me of a last gasp, lashing out, flailing effort. We're done, we're going down, but we're going to do some damage on the way out to our neighbours who haven't been on our side. It's got spite rather than any tactical, let alone strategic import to it. All it does, by the way, and this has been a sort of an interesting element of Iranian sort of foreign policy in the last weeks or so, is essentially push those Gulf states and other states, particularly Saudi Arabia, push them against, into the American column against them, and attacks like this certainly cement that now. And so it says to me, perhaps inside Iran they know this is the end game, and they've got one last card to play, and it's a rather spiteful one, and a deadly one.
Yeah. You point that out, those Arab states, and particularly those Gulf states, they had sort of, in some ways, had one foot in each camp. There'd been a bit of a turn towards the United States, but after Iran has just launched these attacks on places like the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, we've seen these over the past 13 hours, they are now a pariah state if they weren't already before.
That's right.
in that region.
That's right. So the US has done, has got basing, and indeed when Australia has troops in the Middle East, we heard earlier from Jen Parker, naval operations out of Bahrain. When we have army personnel, it's often headquartered or based at least in Qatar alongside the Americans. There's been those basing arrangements. That's one thing, right? And to go after the bases, you might say they are quote unquote legitimate targets in a state-on-state military exchange. But to go after Dubai Airport,
yeah.
What is the military significance there? It is a civilian target. It is and a soft one at that.
I was reading one commentator was saying that in Iran, in terms of who takes over, because we're seeing that definitely what the US is wanting here is regime change, and what that actually looks like, that there are several Nelson Mandela type figures in Iran, but they're in jail.
Yeah. So a lot has to happen, right, to reconstitute an organised opposition, and indeed building a new state, a new constitution, a secular constitution from whole cloth. When this is high acts of statecraft that we're looking to take place, and you go back to the United States rewriting Japan after the fall of World War II under General MacArthur, rewriting a constitution for them that sort of created the modern secular Japanese state, replacing empire there, the imperial system there. What exactly does this look like? It's, they say democracy is messy, but this is, we are so far from that, by the way. And this is still a live military conflict before we get into sort of thinking about state building, constitution writing on the back end.
Roger Shanahan pointed that earlier today. Even though Donald Trump may want it, he wants the opponents of this regime to now rise up. Perhaps right now isn't the time.
No, not safe. Just not safe for a whole bunch of reasons. One is there's a military operation still going. But number two, you do not know that the regime has been taken out yet.
Right.
And how deep the elements go and what's left of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Is there some ambitious captain, major, colonel? Might think it's my turn to become the leader of this regime. A dangerous occupation, as I said earlier, but don't underestimate the depth of Iranian the Revolutionary Guard's hooks down into Iranian society, and how much work may yet to happen before that regime is replaced.
Yeah, and what happens in the chaos now of all those bombings. All right, Simon Jackman, thank you. Stay with us. Still to come this morning, we have more on the breaking news from Dubai. Dubai Airport has been hit by what appears to be Iranian missiles. Evacuations are underway. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back. We have breaking news at 9:30. Dubai's main airport has come under attack. An explosion at a concourse has been hit in the last half hour. We understand at least 4 people have been injured. Medical teams are treating them. Evacuations are underway. Flights have been grounded in the area.
It comes after Donald Trump confirmed Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei was killed hours into a joint US-Israeli military operation. Explosions are ringing out right across the Middle East right now. Tehran responding with firepower as America attempts to topple its regime. Multiple cities and countries have come under attack, including Kuwait and the UAE. This video shows people fleeing for their lives when a missile hit the Qatari capital of Doha. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia supports the US in its mission to prevent Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Well, just over an hour ago, Iranian missiles struck the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. Our cameras were rolling for the moment that it happened. Civilian targets have come under fire, as well as US military bases. And airlines have scrapped flights right across the region, leaving Australian travellers in limbo. We've spoken to several people stranded at Sydney Airport this morning, unsure what is going to happen next. They've spent the night at the airport.
We had to get emergency visas. They took our passports away, and we had to wait hours for them to give our passports back. And they said, well, now what do we do? You've got to leave the airport because you can't stay in a terminal. Well, what's the accommodation? You need to sort that out yourself. Do you know people in Sydney? Well, no, I don't know people in Sydney.
Yes, limited accommodation because Sydney's hotels were booked out because of the Mardi Gras parade. Let's bring back in Middle East analyst Dr. Roger Shanahan. Good morning again to you, Roger. Dubai Airport has just been hit. What is the military significance there? Obviously a very soft target.
Yeah, listen, we're not sure whether it was a direct targeted attack or whether it was debris from a missile that may have been shot down. But regardless, Iran has indicated that it sees the Gulf Arab states who host US bases as legitimate targets in response, and that would be, without doubt, a strategic mission on the part of the Iranians to try and get the raise the cost to the Gulf Arab states for them to put pressure on to Washington.
Yeah, look, we suspect, of course, that was retaliation for the US and Israel's attacks on Iran. How did we get here, Roger? Why is this happening now?
Well, the only person who can kind of answer that is President Trump, but obviously something like this doesn't happen overnight. We've seen over the past several weeks significant US military assets deployed to the region, sufficient to mount a weeks or months long air campaign, which we're seeing at the moment commencing. There's also would have been intelligence work being done for months in advance. So it raises the question about whether the diplomatic negotiations between the US and Iran really had any hope of success, or this was just a box to be ticked and the decision to attack Iran had been made some weeks ago.
Roger, when we spoke to you earlier, you said that despite the Supreme Leader having apparently been killed, along with, and we're just trying to verify this, a number of that top brass as well within the Iranian apparatus, that there would not be really a power vacuum because there would be others coming up through that system. What more do we know about who perhaps is now pulling the levers for Iran?
Well, probably difficult to tell at this stage. Constitutionally, the President, the head of the judiciary and another cleric appointed by the Guardians Council are responsible for running the country on an interim basis. We really haven't heard from President Pezeshkian, so we're not sure about his status at the moment. But constitutionally, there's a leadership group that is supposed to run the country, and then it's up to the Assembly of Experts who then vote on a new Supreme Leader. Whether that system survives this attack is open to question, but certainly there'll be jockeying for positions of authority at the moment, and there'll be mad scrambling trying to work out who is still alive, who's still in control of Iranian assets as well.
Roger, Donald Trump used the nuclear program, Iran's nuclear program, as one of the motivations to start this attack. However, he said that he obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons last year to justify those attacks that happened on the ground there. Clearly, he now believes that didn't stop the nuclear weapons program. Talk to us about the consequences of this attack now. How do you see it affecting the region and us here?
Well, in Australia, not really much, I would have thought, in the short or medium term. In the region, we're only in the first 24 hours of a significant attack against Iran and Iran's retaliation in the region, both against Israel and against its neighbouring Gulf Arab states. How long this is going to go on. Really difficult to tell. As you pointed out, President Trump has used a pretext of Iran's nuclear capabilities, which he said was obliterated in June, as the reason for the attack. But really his more recent comments relate to regime change. So it's quite difficult to understand exactly what his strategic end state is. And so without a very clear strategic end state, it's very difficult to understand what would satisfy President Trump, sufficient for him to say that military operations have been concluded. I don't think we're going to get a better sense of that for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Roger, when you actually look at the situation that's unfolding in Dubai right now, and obviously information is limited right now, we just spoke to Professor Simon Jackman here, and he said perhaps this could be a sign of a real last gasp attempt here by the Iranian regime to assert some form of dominance. Would you agree with that assessment?
No, not really. I don't think it's last gasp. The Iranians see this as an existential threat, and they want to raise the costs to their regional neighbours. And when you have limited capabilities, in the case of Iran, you want to raise the economic cost. And certainly targeting US military bases in these countries, and also some other commercial elements. Those are the kind of things that raise the political cost, but also the economic cost. So I think it's a deliberate part on Iran's part, and they would have war-gamed this in the event of an attack that's occurring at the moment.
Yep, as you say, it would have been fully prepared well before today. All right, Roger Shanahan, thank you.
Thanks, Roger. All right, let's have a bit of a change of gears now into other news now. The world of racing is mourning the loss of legendary mare Makybe Diva.
And this morning we're joined by champion jockey Glenn Boss. Glenn, it's so good to see you this morning. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear this. This must have been such a tough day.
Yeah, good morning to you both. Yeah, it was a day of a lot of reflection, to be very honest. Hundreds of calls and messages from people yesterday from here and abroad. But it just is, when you stop and think about all those great moments that she gave us all, and and she just took us on this magic carpet ride. It was just a time of reflection. I had a couple of beers out of my cups last night just to sit there and think about it.
Well, you had enough cups to actually choose from there, Glenn. Look, we know that Makybe Diva really occupies this special part of the Australian psyche. What is your lasting memory of this champion mare?
Oh, the lasting memory for me is just one of admiration of what she did for me on a personal level, and what she did for everyone. She was one of those racehorses or athletes that transcended the sport. She took us, what she did in 2005 was just a moment in our racing, not in our racing, but in our sport, in Australian sport, because the Melbourne Cup is intertwined in our fabric. And so many people, 120,000 people at the races that day, and millions watching around the world, were captured by what she pulled off that day.
Glenn, we always saw you with her in front of those millions of people, but what was it like when you just had a quiet moment with her? What was she like?
Yeah, listen, over the last 5 or 6 years, I made an effort of going down to see her at the farm at least once or twice every year, and I actually spent some time with her only a couple of months ago. So just to go down and see her, she looks so healthy. When they get to these ages, when you're sort of 26, 27, their eyes can get a bit dull, their coat can get a bit dull, but she just looked the opposite. She was so shiny, and so just to go and have those little moments, you don't have long with them, 5 or 10 minutes, just to say thanks and pay your respects. But I had a feeling when I walked away that might be the last time I seen her.
Well, I'm so glad that you did that.
Yeah, Glenn, she is an absolute icon. You're an absolute icon, and she won't be forgotten soon. Hey, thanks for your memories this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.
All right, let's get a check of your weather now with JT.
We are with SailGP Team Australia. We've got the Flying Roo there. We've got the team of supporters here, and I love the heckling. Team Great Britain have just playing God Save the King. We need to drown them out.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi!
Yes, here's your weather forecast.
Weekend sunrise weather brought to you by Viking. No kids and no casinos. Call 138 747 or visit Viking.com today.
Brizzy, possible showers and 29. Sydney, showers clearing and 27, mostly cloudy in Canberra and 25. Melbourne, possible showers and 26. Hobart, partly cloudy and 27. Showers for Adelaide and 27. Perth, sunny and 26. Mostly sunny for Broome and 33. Darwin, possible thunderstorms and 29. And showers for Alice Springs and 32. Have a look at this. Look at this good-looking rooster. Stand by. Tom Needham! How good is having a cool flute version of your head?
I don't know if it's good or not, but...
Let me just put that aside. There's so much excitement around the Australian team at the moment. Obviously, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds got on board at the end of last year. And I was just, if you can come forward, Arthur, I love the design, and there's actually a great backstory.
Yeah, exactly. So the Maximum Effort team with Hugh and Ryan purchased the team last year, and then with our title sponsor Bonds, they've sort of collaborated to make a new branding for the team. You know, we've got a new livery on the boat, new livery on the wing, Flying Roo's on fire.
And look at the shoulders on him as well. They're fantastic modelling, thank you. And a wonderful moustache. Huge day out on the water today. So Aussie's currently in second place, just behind the Spanish team.
Yeah, not for long. There's another 3 races today, so all to play for. And then after those 3 qualifying races, there's a winner-takes-all 3-boat final race. So hopefully we get into that. And then the Bonds Flying Roo Island will be out there cheering, and then boat comes across the finish line.
I haven't got a straight answer for anyone. Is Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman here?
I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see.
I can't get a straight answer. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Bye! We'll find out.
More on our special coverage on the conflict in the Middle East next. Stay with us.
Let's return to Canberra now. 7 News political editor Mark Riley is there. Now, Riles, in terms of Australia's response, we're expecting to hear from Penny Wong and Anthony Albanese this morning.
Yes, indeed. So that meeting of the National Security Committee of Cabinet will be wrapping up about now, receiving the latest intelligence briefings from the White House and the Pentagon on operations in Iran. And we'll hear from Penny Wong, the Foreign Minister, reasonably soon. We're not too sure yet whether we'll hear from Prime Minister Anthony Albanese this morning or this afternoon, but he put out that statement last night very strongly supporting the American operation, saying that acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent Iran continuing to threaten international peace and security, and also, of course, supporting the people of Iran who have been oppressed by this fundamentalist regime now for decades, and the objective of this operation is to allow them the opportunity to rise up against their government and to take control, seize back control of the country for the people. We hope that they're able to do that, but at the moment there's a lot of bombs that are flying across the region. The government, the Australian government's responsibility primarily is the safety of Australians there, to look after them while they are in the region, discourage them from going, and to help them get out if they possibly can, guys.
Yeah. All right, Riles, yes, and we'll be following that press conference from the Foreign Minister later this morning. Thanks for your time again. Weekend Sunrise, back after this.
Welcome back. Beloved Australian actress Lorraine Bailey has died at the age of 89. The Sullivan star died in a Sydney care home yesterday morning. The news was confirmed on behalf of her family. Bailey was best known for her role as Grace Sullivan in The Sullivans, as well as a presenter on the popular children's show Play School. She also had guest roles on Neighbours. Well, the 56th edition of the Brit Awards is underway at the moment, celebrating the best in British music from right across the globe. Getting a special mention at the awards, Ozzy Osbourne, who will be honoured with a Lifetime Achievement Award. The Black Sabbath frontman sadly passed away last year. He is being celebrated for his impact and influence on music worldwide. Singer Robbie Williams also leading the charge, closing the awards with an all-star rock tribute performance. Weekend Sunrise is back in a moment.
Thanks for your company of our special coverage on the conflict in the Middle East. 7 News will continue throughout the day, and tonight live at 6 with the day's major developments.
Then at 8:20 p.m, a special Inside Operation Epic Fury hosted by our very own Michael Usher. And we'll leave you now with today's extraordinary pictures of the rapid escalation as we have witnessed this morning. Thanks for your company.